All right. So from the last session, before we get started, just real quick, you guys went to the bookstore in town, the Historium or whatever it was called, and I went and found a book of gnomish fairy tales, and she made a check and she didn't roll very well on it. So from the quick perusal she did, the book seems to have German-like dark fairy tales, where from Varisian gnomish culture, many of which ended with the small children in the stories being eaten by horrible monsters. So it's those sort of go out to the forest and this kind of monster will eat you stories. You haven't ever heard of any of the stories in this book. They're not very common in Cheliax because of the way they purify knowledge and things like that. And the couple you've seen so far, you haven't even ever heard of them. You haven't even heard that these kind of rhymes and stories ever existed. You are very curious to keep reading more, and that's pretty much it. Boris did find a similar book for halfling children, but the quick perusal he was able to do, he noticed that the majority of the stories aren't uncommon in Cheliax. That he has heard some of these slaves tell these stories, and now this is a book of them basically. So you do think it's a good gift for Arden, but it's not especially interesting or significant here. So that was pretty much it with the books. And we ended last session, the council meeting ended, and Jana Holdis, the innkeeper of the Swedish Drop Tavern, came up to you guys after the town council meeting, and specifically was interested in Nero and Vors, who were talking the most at the town council meeting. And she's just really interested in learning more about you, so she invited you to her inn, to the Swedish Drop Tavern, to have lunch, basically, a late lunch with her, and tell her everything about what you guys are talking about.
I'm going to study that target.
Okay. You spend a couple rounds staring at her and gain bonuses to diplomacy and all those things, because you're a Velvet Blade. You're not a stabby slayer. You're a thinky, talky slayer.
Oh, yeah.
All right, yeah. So you guys, you just walk over from where is it? 4. Let me find out where maybe a good GM and actually have 2 of these open at once so I can find out what number the Swedish Drop Tavern is.
It's over by the big fortress thing.
Is it? Is it down there, number 7?
It
says number 11 on this thing. Yeah, so it's the teeth-shaped thing down here. So you guys are walking.
Yeah, 11.
You guys are walking from the Oath Day Market down towards that whole thing, that whole place. So I'll use Plotty as the party. So you guys are walking and you get down to there. So you're just kind of talking to her, and the whole while Vors is sizing her up and trying to just look at her and see how she's handling herself in conversation. What kind of light conversation would you guys make? And I'll just roll 1d4. Iwen, would you be talking to her? What kind of conversation would you make?
Probably not. I don't think Iwan would be doing much of that.
Okay. All right. Mr. Boozlebob, are you interested in talking to Jen Holdis?
No.
Okay. Nero, any chatter along the way?
Nero will just be generally pleasant. He talks to her a bit about her tavern and the town history. And we'll volunteer little bits about the fall of Longacre.
Okay. Go ahead and toss me a diplomacy check. And when basically that's one of the things she was very interested in. So if you drop any tidbits about Longacre, she's very interested. Oh my God, what happened there? You have to tell me everything. And she's very interested in hearing what happened, because the rumors have gotten here, but no one knows really what went down. So she's very much interested. She said, "Please, over lunch, that's the one thing she wants to talk about." Oof! Look at that schmooze. All right. So Vors, he rolled a 20. That's not good for you, buddy. Vors, what would you be chatting about with her?
I just basically ask her basically ask her how the supply chain is may have been affected by what's going on, and then if we are talking about what's happening in Longacre, I may mention that the beloved innkeeper down there was done in for supporting the resistance or the rebellion.
She says that's terrible to hear, and she says, I I hope that doesn't happen around here. And she smirks a little bit and looks around, and you can see that there's no patrols around, but there are like scattered Iomedean faithful people in robes and things like that. She said, I think we're safe here. I don't think that's going to happen again. And go ahead and make me a diplomacy check.
And I say, I certainly hope it doesn't. All right, I have to click myself. Where am I?
Yeah, because things.
In the.
All right, yeah.
Fuck?
You rolled a 3 against Naz's 20. You have your Slayer bonus. I would give you the full thing. What is it, like half your level, or I don't know how it works at this level.
It's just.
Is it only +1?
I think so.
Steady target, +1, and then it scales up at 5th level. Yeah, so you don't even have that yet. So use +1. So yeah, you got a 13. So she's very much more interested in Nero. Like, you're both talking to her, and she does still seem interested in both of you. But especially that Nero's bringing up Longacre, she's basically hanging on every word. Everything he says about Longacre is extremely interesting. And pretty much the only thing she cared about when you were talking to Vors was when you mentioned the innkeeper at Longacre. She said, "What happened to him? What do you mean?" And then she was very dejected when he got murdered for being an Iomedean.
He didn't get killed for being Iomedean, though. He was a werebore and started tearing up the town. That's why he got killed.
She looks at Nero and says, "What?" And she's just wide-eyed, like, "What?"
It sounds bizarre. If I hadn't seen it myself, I wouldn't believe it either.
Okay, yeah. So she looks at you and she tries like you sense motive to see if you're joking, and she thinks you're dead serious because you are dead serious. You're not lying. There's no bluff to detect. And she's extremely confused. Oh, werebore! It's like, come! You have to tell me everything. And she hurries you over to her establishment.
Can't remember. Does Bob have a visible scar from like one of his tusks or something?
I know you did. You left them around so people could confirm them. Like, you wanted the doctor to see them. But when Nero heals them, they would heal unless you actively wanted a scar. Did you want to keep one, Boozlebob?
No, Boozlebob's not into the scar.
Not into scars? Okay. Good to know. Put that down in your character notes. Boozlebob not into scars. All right. Okay, yeah, so she gets you all the way to her inn, the Sweetest Drop Tavern. And she doesn't even ask what anybody wants to eat. She just quickly ducks into the kitchen right as you guys arrive. She says, go sit at any table you want, and I will take you to a new map. Do I have a map for this? I don't think I do, actually. So never mind, I'm not taking any new map. There's no Sweetest Drop Tavern.
That means there won't be fights here.
Right, well, unless you want to fight, and then I'll have to go find a random in-map. Yeah, so she gets you there, and she ducks into the kitchen right as you arrive. A moment later, she comes out with 2 gallon-sized pitchers of ale, a large bowl of potatoes, 5 plates of a simple spiced chicken dish, and 4 flagons for drinking. She puts all the food down, and she puts the 2 gallon jugs down, and she starts dunking each of the flagons in the thing to fill them. She gives one to Nero, Iwan, and Vors, and then places the 4th one in front of herself. Then she grabs the entire second pitcher and hands it to Boozlebob. And she says, "Everything's on the house as long as you promise to tell me everything." And she's looking at Nero and Vors specifically.
Boozlebob claps.
And she smiles at you and she claps back. She's very bubbly and engaging.
Well, that seems a fair trade. I guess I'll tell you what I can remember. And Nero sort of starts to lay out what had gone on in Longacre, but everyone in the party is conspicuously absent, and specific things that went on where, we specifically stomped out this or that or the other thing also remain conspicuously absent. And he ends up talking about, they had sort of this uneven rebellion and sort of tried to just turn the town, and it just didn't happen. And that the people remained loyal, especially with the fact that they just couldn't seem to gain any traction in town. Everything they did was sort of stomped out by the local militia or by local supporters of Thrune.
Hey,
Yeah.
sorry, my dog was counter surfing.
Yeah. Again, she's very interested. She's following, like she's nodding along the whole time. She's very interested in hearing everything you have to say, and she hears all that, and she's like, "Wow, that's not really how it went down here." And she basically retells the whole story here, saying that the Narcopolis nobles, they were summoned to Urgogan for some legal matter, and the majority of the family left town. And when they did, the Glorious Reclamation, they just came in. Like the local church was working with them, and it was completely bloodless. They managed to capture all of the local loyal Thrune guards, and there was no blood. There wasn't any fighting. There wasn't, and she just shrugs like, "I'm sorry it didn't go down that way in Longacre. How did you guys get out?"
Once the town was retaken, they didn't hold anyone there. The town was retaken. The walls are still standing. The town's still strong. You could leave. They rescinded the edict. You were allowed to leave, and people wanted to leave left. I mean, the town sheriff is just gone, and multiple other people from the town just gone after they were put down by the pro Thrune troops.
All technically correct. So let's see how intelligent she is. I'll just roll a d20 here. So she did notice how conspicuously absent you were from your own stories, and she looks at you and she turns to Voris and she says, "And what did you do during the rebellion? Like, where were you?"
Oh, I was just a traveler passing through. Like, basically, I'm a merchant, so I was just trying to keep a low profile. Like, it's usually best practice or best business practices to not tick off the locals too much.
Okay.
So then I basically live to fight another day.
Okay. How truthful would you gauge that statement?
I think very.
You're a merchant? Okay. You do
Moderately.
sell things. You do sell things. So yeah, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's nodding along. Go ahead and make a diplomacy check with that. And she nods. She's like, yes, a businessman. I understand that. We've got a bunch of businessmen in town right now. And she goes along with your story. She nods. And she looks towards the others. Boozlebob's probably stuffing his face or drinking.
Boozlebob is slamming the gallon.
Oh. So she turns to ask you a question, but sees you like mid-chug, and then looks at Iwan and asks, "And you? What did you do during the rebellion?"
Well, I'm a scholar, and I've been studying up on my craft. I just kind of kept to myself a lot. I'm very into deep philosophy. I study the ways of planar travel. I was talking to local scholars, understanding their perspective. I'm actually hoping to do the same thing, here in this town. That's why, between the rebellion failing and exhausting the knowledge there, I was hoping to move on and figure out what's going on here.
And she nods, and she's like, "Oh yes, if you're looking for scholars," and she recommends the Historium that you've already been to. She says like, "Oh, there's two men that run that building," and blah blah blah. And did you interrupt her, or do you let her finish explaining everything about it?
No, Iwan would just listen. She probably would. So, and then after she finishes, Iwan would say, "Are there any particular visionaries or major scholars in town that I should talk to at some point?"
Major scholars in town? That's a good question. She says, yes. What was his name? Ferrith Zane, one of the other council members, is a very established scholar. He's actually the Razospore of the Glorious Reclamation, which is a very high-ranking, Arcanist priest, basically.
The one that basically Iwan insulted his competence.
Yes,
yes,
the half elf that you insulted a little bit. He's not only is he one of the most respected scholars in town, he's one of the most respected scholars in the Church of Iomedae. He's well known throughout all of Cheliax, basically, as a man who can identify magic items, who's played with a lot of magical items and things like that. And for the church, he takes pride in destroying heretical items, specifically finding very powerful evil items and destroying them. And she says, if you're looking for a scholar, he's about as high as you can get.
All right.
Okay. that's pretty much it. So she's back to Nero and Vor. So you told the whole story of Longacre, and she's bought all of your stories, all of your truthful but omniscious. Is that a word?
Not complete.
Omission-filled accounts. Yeah. So she agrees all this. Like, wow, it's good you guys got out. This is you're safe here. It's different here. I promise you that.
I'm gonna level with you. I don't think it's gonna stay different here long. I think Longacre had a better chance than this place.
Now she looks at you and she turns her head. What do you mean by that?
There's not walls. They're gonna come through. If that city, whatever the city, I forget the name is, if the city they're sieging falls,
Sonara. Yeah.
if Sonara falls, all these mounted Hell Knights are going to come through this town with no walls, and they're going to raise this place to the ground.
And if
To be honest, I think the only chance for this town is to maybe look for a liberal sort of existence within Cheliax, maybe sort of something like a devotion to order, devotion to law, as opposed to devotion to demon worship and that sort of devil worship and that sort of thing.
So Iwan would chime in and I agree a lot with Nero, especially if the rebellion here was bloodless, as you say it is. Sure enough, sooner than later, there's going to be some resistance, and who knows what the appetite for an actual bloody fight will be amongst the town folks. I think thinking of some sort of compromise, as Nero was thinking, is probably at least worth the town's while.
Okay, you can both give me a diplomacy check about that too while you're talking. And she listens to every word each of you say. And again, Iwan, I would bring up that she is one of the good people that doesn't seem to care that you're a gnome, and that historically other humans have looked down at you or interrupted you or ignored you, and she is one of the people who hasn't been doing that. And you're both saying that, and she believes you both have valid points. And she says, yes, that the town's defenses aren't very good. You did bring that up at the council meeting, and I do agree with you. And I do hope that you are able to work with Appian and figure out something we can do. I know it's too late to erect walls, perhaps, but at least figure out something. And then what did you say again, Iwan? What was the gist of it?
Basically, just that if the rebellion was bloodless, eventually there will be like some sort of more warring, and who knows what the appetite for that will be.
She brings up the fact that many of the Thrune loyalists that were subdued during the rebellion but not killed were brought to Hardship's Hearth. It's a work camp to the north. It used to be a former slave camp, and after the liberation, they've turned it into a work camp for prisoners loyal to Thrune. And not only soldiers, but a lot of loyalist citizens who were grumbling or causing problems were taken away to there. So it's believed that the majority of the town, supports the local government. But as you say, people probably were smart enough to keep quiet.
So, and the loyalists that were brought to that camp, like basically they're being worked by some leadership of the new order.
She explains that what was her name? Jalea Hajara, the tattooed monk-looking woman that was talking to Boozlebob. She sees to all the affairs of her Hardship's Hearth. That's her responsibility in town. So she listens to everything you say, and she agrees with you that you do have valid points, and she doesn't say either of you are wrong. But she looks at Nero and she says, I don't think it's going to be like that. First off, I don't think the siege of Sonara is going to fail. I believe the Aimadeans, the Glorious Reclamation, will take Sonara. And I believe we will take more cities in the north. And, well, she doesn't say we, she says they. Sorry, she's not part of them. I believe they will take more cities in the north. And I believe just as Cheliax split into Malthun and Eisger and Nidal, it will split once more. And there will be an Aimadean Chelaxian nation here.
Yeah, you're more optimistic than I am, but we'll see, I guess.
She smiles and she is generally cheering. Says, "Perhaps I am a little too optimistic, but that's the way I've been seeing it." And I saw the troops come through here. Like the siege was bloodless, but when they came from Castle Dinyar, they came through here, and I saw the amount of knights heading to Sonara, and I don't think they're going to fail.
Maybe. But we'll have to see, I guess. It's you've seen more of it than I have. You would know who went through here to there.
Yeah, she tells you about a couple of them. She mentions like a couple of very famous knights by name. You probably heard of them. They're like, throughout the Empire, they would be notable. You can make a knowledge check to see if you know anything specific.
Sure.
I'll see if I...
Did they come through with that, the artifact they found? I heard about the Heart's Edge.
Yes. I forget the name of the person who runs it because it sounded way too much like the name of the Angel Knight in the first adventure. And I mixed them up. But yes, the leader of the Glorious Reclamation, the paladin that basically founded it, she is wielding Heart's Edge, which is the longsword Iomedae wielded in defense of this town. This one, Cantaria specifically. She killed a legion of horrible shape-shifting monsters from this town using that sword, and then gave it to the mayor of the town to defend it if it should happen again. And then that sword got lost after decades or centuries and stuff like that. And then the Godclaw Order found it in an abandoned mansion. And when they found it, the Iomedaean Glorious Reclamation basically attacked them, took it from them, and destroyed their order and took their castle. And Nero ran away because he was out of town.
It's true.
All right. Yeah, so she's extremely interested in everything you said, and she does make her opinions known. She isn't part of the Glorious Reclamation, but she does tacitly support them, and she does believe that they are going to win. She seems fairly confident that the things you're saying aren't going to happen here, but she does agree with you that, anything can happen, and, I don't know everything. She's not a know-it-all, in-your-face kind of asshole.
And she appreciates the fact that they really haven't shown any ability, per se, to think about how to defend the city and or vanquish a demon that some lowly travelers were able to do in a few hours.
Yeah. She does say that the points you bring about the defenses are extremely valid, and she's very excited that we're going to be talking about them. And she already did say to Nero, "I hope you do work with Appian to get a better strategy for this, because they do have patrols and stuff like that, and the sword towers, the big tall towers, but there are no walls around this town, as you say." And what was the last bit after the defenses?
Just reminding her about the demon that they were not able to deal with, but that wasn't really that much of an issue.
Yeah, she does seem surprised by that too. She says, "Yeah, it seems like what's his name? Fedrith Zane, the Razospore, seems like he didn't investigate himself, which surprises me. Maybe he's distracted by all the toys he found in the manor."
Toys?
She laughs and says, "Yes, the items, magic things, everything seized by the every evil artifact seized by the Glorious Reclamation was taken to our Narcopolis Manor for him to examine and destroy."
Okay.
And he laughs and says again, he's when he starts playing with a toy, it's all he can think about. Sometimes he doesn't even show up to the council meetings. We have to go get him.
Interesting. I mean, I guess I could understand that, getting lost in a book or something like that, but might not be the person I'd want running my town.
She laughs as she is but one of the 6. and the things he knows are invaluable to the council, even if he is a bit flaky himself.
Well, he seems sensible, which is important.
She nods and says that, in general, the Glorious Reclamation, or at least the leadership they've installed here, does seem to be reasonable, and they do seem to be well-meaning. And I do believe that life in town has been better since they've been ruling. She does complain that there are fewer Chilexian ships coming to town, because A, it's not a Chilexian town anymore, and B, there's now these docking fees. But yeah, she says that is a problem, and it's harder to get good ale in town. But everything else seems to be doing well, and she's especially excited that all the halflings were freed.
I don't have any taste for slavery. It's just, I suppose that's just the price of doing business in some place like Cheliax. But I don't have any taste for it.
She nods and she says, I hated it and I spoke against it, but I was told to be quiet, and it was. And she says, the Order of the Pike, when they come around, you don't.
Yeah.
You heed those warnings.
Yes. they're called the Order of the Pike for a reason, because they like putting things on pikes.
It is known. So Vors, what else would you have to say? So Nero's basically done all the schmoozing, and he's done extremely well. What else? How are you going to dig yourself out of this hole?
Hole.
Yeah, you kind of flubbed the first one.
Oh. I was just like, so I ask her, so like, where do you usually get your ale? Like, why can't you guys like brew some here?
She says that she used to get ale from all over Cheliax. You know, they come up through the river barges, basically, because this is not a very strategically useful location, except for the fact that straight north of here there are some mines. So a lot of mining goods go up and down, and sometimes, you know, ale would go up and down, and she'd be able to take some from the ferries. But a lot of boats are either just skipping Sonara entirely, or, you know, not even bothering to come up anymore. So she says, you know, I can get some good ale from, you know, the dwarves up in the mountains have some pretty good stuff. But if you're looking for any Chelaxian, you know, wines or things like that, it's increasingly harder to get.
Yeah, war's not good for business.
She nods. Uncertainty just as much. Make a sense motive check, Mr. Vors. That wasn't very good. All right.
+1.
Still not very good. Yeah. So she basically she does convey all that to you. She's like, yeah, it's really hard for me to get, you know, good alcoholic beverages now. But she again says, but again, life in general is better in town. If that is the sacrifice, then I bear that.
This is going to breed some bad things, though. If I have to pay a docking fee to get anything into town, then it's in my best interest to somehow not dock in town, if you get my meaning.
She smiles and says, yes, you know, there's always black market. There's always, you know, goods do move, she says. But since the Imedanes have been here and they've rounded up a lot of the Thrune loyalists, a lot of those elements have, you know, been taken out of the town.
What is it they say about necessity?
What is it, the mother of invention? Is that one I'm going for?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. She smirks at whatever you imply, and she says, you know, are you proposing something? And she looks at you curiously.
I'm not much of a trader, but if I was, this is a golden opportunity.
And then I'll chime in and just say that there are always ways to get people what they want.
She nods, and she seems interested in that. Are you trying to hint that you can do this, or are you just saying that passively?
No,
Okay.
I mean, I'm always going to hang that out there. So
it's always out there. All right, yeah. So she does seem interested in that. She's curious about what you guys can do and things like that. But she does agree that you know if you could get, you know, good alcohol here, you know, there'd be money in that.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, just make nice small talk, eat the food, drink the booze.
Okay.
Well, I'll ask her about more specifics and see like what, like, do the people like ales, lagers, pilsners, porters?
She says
Any whiskey, like vodka.
She's as you extensively go down the list, she starts ticking things off like like I said, ale is okay. We can get some ales from the dwarves up north, but specifically like wines and whiskeys and things of finer class. She says things from the heart of the empire don't get this far out anymore because of the glorious reclamation successes in the north.
Yeah, which is a shame. We'll certainly be able to get at least some moonshine. I'll see what I can do about the finer liquors and wine.
Okay. Give me another sense motive check. I believe in you. Oh my god.
Do you?
Yeah. So you don't notice anything weird, and she's nodding along. She's like, if you have access, if you have friends that can get this sort of thing in town, you know, let me know.
Can other people involved in the conversation, like Nero, do a sense motive check?
Nope.
Not much better, buddy. I thought I had a rank in there, but I guess not.
Poor Nero. Yeah, so you guys don't notice anything weird or out of the ordinary.
Haha.
You have a -2.
What?
He's not very wise, I guess.
That says I have a +0, a +4 on sense motive. That's weird.
So 17 is still not good enough.
That's fine. It's no big deal.
But
It's just
yeah,
interesting.
fix your sheet, whatever you're broken.
I don't know.
Yeah, so she's very happy with all the stories you told, and she does seem more interested in Nero at the moment, and all of his tales of Longacre and what was going on. She wants to know more, but she says she has other things to do today as well. So unless you have anything else, she's going to let you guys go and go about her business.
Do you know? While I've got you, you seem like someone who would know people around town, right?
She nods and says, pretty much everybody knows me.
I'm a bit of a scholar. I understood what the creature was talking about down toward the old forge there. He was saying something about a man, and he makes the general description of the man, this lanky man that the devil had described.
Mm-hmm.
He described him, and he said that he had stolen something. That's why he was rampaging. But
Yeah.
sound like anyone you know?
Let's see. Can you make knowledge checks, or did NPCs not do that right? No, they don't do that right. And I have to escape a bunch of times. All right. So D20 time. Boom. All right. Yes, she is very knowledgeable with local stuff. And you describe this person, and she says it sounds like Gregor Aradane, I think his name was Gregor Aradane. He says you're very, very lanky, and she describes all the other features, but the most descriptive thing is very lanky, very long arms and legs. And she's like, yeah, that was probably Gregor. He stole what?
I don't know. He was on about some sort of something he'd stolen from his master. And I get the feeling that it's something. I know that I've read about things that you, especially dead things, that you put them down and then they come back until you somehow put them to rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she has heard stories about ghosts that do work like that, basically restless spirits that need something to happen so they can be put to rest. So she nods along with that.
I'm just worried that if it's something that it needs, that it might. I'd hate for it to be something that recurs.
She nods along, yeah. And so did you tell them about specifically the devil? I forget. Or did you just mention the giant fire elemental that Boozlebob seemed to have slayed?
Well, I didn't. I don't think I went into detail, but I think I'd play it off as like a fire devil of some kind.
Okay, yeah. So you saw the fire devil and you put it to rest, but you think it might come back. Okay. So she's nodding along and she says, "When you said master, you think Tychus Grote was owned this thing or controlled this thing?"
Didn't he worship some kind of devil?
She nods and says, "Moloch. That's fairly well known in town." And she says, if you're talking about stealing something from Tychus, it's probably his hammer. What was the name? And she thinks, and she says, Cinderboss, I think it was. He had a magical smithing hammer. Maybe it was.
Yeah, that's the word. That's the word that the thing used.
And then she nods and says he was extremely proud of that hammer. It was he forged it himself, and it was very powerful. He made very powerful items for Cheliax with that.
He might be in danger. I don't know. Maybe I should find him, talk to him about it.
And she shrugs and says, if Gregor's got it, he'd probably skip town. That's worth a ton of money to the right smith.
Much to the detriment of the town. If that thing comes back and won't rest until it gets that, put it down 100 times until it gets that. It's not going to put down.
She shakes her head and says, that would be a tragedy. Certainly there's something the church could do, like consecrate the area, something.
I don't know. I mean, we're in devil country, so I don't know that if you consecrate one bit of land, I don't know if it doesn't spring up somewhere else.
She shrugs and says, I don't have a mind for those sort of things. I haven't studied things like that. I just attend to my bar.
Interesting. I'll look around. I'll see what I can find out. Just, if you hear anything strange, fire kind of things, you know, keep me posted so that we can maybe figure this out.
Okay. She nods and she agrees. Yeah.
And this Gregor, did he have any like close friends or relatives in town who might help us figure out where he could be?
He said that he was a Thrune loyalist, or what was called a Narcopolis rebel, is what the Glorious Reclamation is calling them. He was in league with a lot of them, and some of the ones that didn't get rounded up actually made it out of town. But she doesn't know where they got to. The Glorious Reclamation is actively looking for Narcopolis rebels in the forests, and they haven't been very lucky in finding them. But she believes that he wasn't captured, and he's either with them or he just skipped town entirely because, you know, he has a very expensive magic item. He'd need to get to a big city to fence it. Anything else? You guys good to go? All right. On the way out, she lets you guys know that, you know, if you're looking to have a good time, at 10 p.m., the Last Drop Tavern really gets kicking. Like, right now, it's kind of dead. It's in the afternoon. And even though it's an inn, you don't see anybody, like, eating lunch there, and you don't see anybody upstairs sleeping or anything like that. It seems like it's pretty much only a drinking establishment, from what you've noticed. So, 10 p.m. tonight if you want to, you know, hang out with the cool kids at the bar.
Okay.
All right, so she lets you guys go, and she goes about her own business. And like I said before, it's about 3 p.m. now. So you've got the whole day, and if you want to go to the thing at 10, that's fine. But we'll just roll initiative, and you guys will tell me what you all want to do. And kapow. Iwen, what would you be interested in doing with the rest of the day?
Well, Iwan's getting curious about camps outside the town. So, like, we've heard about the one that had the halflings. We heard about the one that had the Thrune loyalists. So, I don't know that she'd go alone, but she's becoming interested in them.
Okay. So you'd bring that to the party, and I guess we can go around the whole way, and if no one else seems interested in going with you, we'll figure out what we'll do with it.
Sure.
Boozlebob, what would you be interested in doing?
So Boozlebob is really interested in trying to get a headband of intelligence so that he can communicate.
Okay. Very direct.
So he's probably going to go walk around the town and try to find someone to sell him one.
Do you have enough money? They're like 4,000 gold.
Oh, we'll like crowdfund it.
Who are you crowdfunding with?
The townspeople.
You're going to try to convey to the townspeople that you want to crowdfund 4,000 gold for a headband for yourself.
Correct, yes.
Okay, that's going to fail miserably, but you can try.
well, no, so Boozlebob's running for office now.
Oh, yeah.
You're ahead of your time.
There aren't active elections for that, but you can try to convey that.
Well, I've got a flail.
You got a flail. I'm a man with a flail and a plan. All right, Nero, what are you doing in town? What would you do with a free day?
Well, there's a couple of things. He'd want to check in with the guy at the dock and basically find out why he didn't make it to the meeting, and also, you know, what he might know about this Gregor character, because he seems like a shady type that might know stuff about him. Mm-hmm. And he's also really intrigued by the fact that she mentions they're actively searching the forest north for Thrune sympathizers, which to me means that, you know, we might find support there, or we might find a way into the prison camp up there.
All right. And Vors.
I'd go around asking about like the search parties that they're sending out, and find out if they're looking for volunteers.
That's a great idea.
Spacebar's OP.
Yeah, I realize even after I stop typing, it keeps me muted. It's really great. It's really awesome. It's not even spacebar. It's any typing I do over there, I think. Anyway,
Oh.
It's like it notices I'm typing, and I told it to not mute me, but it doesn't listen. Anyway. Yeah, so you're going to ask about search parties. Are they looking for volunteers? That's a great idea. Okay. So let's see. Nero is also interested in the stuff. So are you interested in going out and looking at the camps and stuff, Nero, or are you interested in asking about them in town?
I'd be interested in both.
Okay. So let's start with Nero is going to the dock to ask those questions about what's up with Gregor and why the dockmaster didn't make it in. And we don't need to roleplay because we already done a bunch of roleplaying today. But the dockmaster says that he just got busy. Like, a ship came in, an unexpected ship came in, and he was surprised, and they just had to. Everybody was working, and he couldn't get around to get into the meeting.
And Nero will just regale him with, I swayed a lot of the crowd, and one of the council members even voted the thing down. I think if we'd had more support, maybe we would have been able to stop the thing from passing entirely, or at least tabled it for now.
He's curious, which one? Who opposed it?
The heavyset one, the chemist.
Linton Demir, yeah. Yeah, he nods. He gets goods off these boats too. He would vote against that. That makes sense. And he nods and says, "It's a tragedy. There's definitely going to be less things coming through the dock, but it is what it is."
I mean, things are going to start moving around the dock. If I were to guess what's going to happen,
and you look, and he raises his eyebrows.
Not really my forte. You would have to speak to someone else if you get my meaning. But that tends to be what happens is when there's unreasonable tariffs, all of a sudden the tariff fund goes dry, but goods still seem to make it into town.
He nods along. He says, "Talk to someone." He's like, "I get you, I get you." And he says, "I understand them. I understand perfectly." And then you ask about Gregor, and I don't think he knows, but let me roll d20. Oop, yeah, he doesn't know anything about Gregor. He's like, I've never heard of the guy. He says, lanky, and he starts describing other people that obviously aren't the same person you're talking about.
No, I was hoping maybe he caught a ship out of town. I think whatever that thing was, it wants the smith. Jana had told me about the smith's hammer, the name of the hammer. I think that's what it's looking for.
Nah, he shrugs. Says, I see a lot of people coming through here. Sometimes they don't stick in my head, but I don't remember anybody like that.
Okay.
Anything else? Are you good?
I'm good.
All right. Okay, so that's happening. And so now Nero is free to maybe look at camps and stuff. And Boozlebob is walking around trying to convince townsfolk to give him money. So what are you saying to them?
Boozlebob walks up to them with his sign. Says, "All taxation is theft."
Okay, yes.
And he points to the sign, he taps on it, and then puts out his hand.
Go ahead and roll. They have to roll sense motive is how that works. Okay, so I'll just roll a d20. So most of them have no idea what you're talking about. You do this thing, and it seems like you're trying to tax them or something. Or maybe it's some sort of like avant-garde art piece where you're like, all taxation is theft with your hand out. But a lot of them just look very confused. But as you're walking around, one of the people Naz was just talking about, Linton Zamir, the fat alchemist over here. You can see him at the round table. He walks up to you. And he points to your sign and says, "Yes, yes."
Okay. So Boozlebob is going to try to have a conversation with this guy.
Okay, what do you say?
Boozlebob says council.
He points to himself and says, "Yes, I'm on the council."
Boozlebob waves his hand like no, and then taps his chest and says council.
You want to be on the council? Let's see if he's just gonna say that. Yeah, you want to be on the council?
Yeah. So Boozlebob claps and said and yes.
He laughs a bit and says, "And who are you?" And he says, "No offense," gesturing towards your muscles.
Is there like a wall or anything nearby?
Yeah, there's like a stall. There's like buildings and stuff.
So Boozlebob takes out his flail and just smashes the nearest wall.
He looks so go ahead and roll an intimidate check. Click yourself and hit those teeth.
Hold on, yep.
Yeah, so he jumps back and he is a little afraid. He's like,
That's
he
a
raises-
20.
so you crit the wall. You take a big chunk out of one of the like stone walls next to you. Just goes straight through it like butter, and a big hunk of stone flies off. And he jumps back with his hands up. He says, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean anything by that. I'm sorry."
And while Boozlebob is swinging that, he says defense.
He says, "You have nothing to fear from me. I promise you. I'm not a threat to you." And he's holding his hands up.
All right, Boozlebob smiles.
And he says, "There aren't, openings for the council. There aren't formal elections like that. We've only been appointed months ago."
Boozlebob looks at the hole in the wall and smiles.
Yeah, he doesn't really know how to react to that, so he kind of shrugs. But again, he points to your sign and he says, "I agree with you though on the tariff and the taxes. Since the Imedeans came in town, businesses have been suffering."
Boozlebob flexes and tries to say I'm a Dayan, but can't say it, so he just says Dayan.
So you just say the word Dayan by itself.
Yeah, while flexing.
Make a diplomacy check, Boozlebob.
Let's see, that's a button I haven't ever hit.
It's the two hands shaking hands and not flailing each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go, buddy. Yeah. So you're talking to him, and you're talking about all taxation is theft and these things. And he's agreeing with you. He's completely agreeing with you. And what was the last thing you said?
Dayans while flexing.
Yeah. So he actually says, yeah, sometimes those Iamadaeans, and he just kind of shakes his head.
Okay, Boozlebob's going to take this as approval to go murder them.
I mean, it's only one town council member, but he says they mean well, but they always they get in the way. They impose their will, and like I said, business has been bad.
Boozlebob says clear way.
And he says what? And he he's holding his arms up and not trying to get in your way. What do you mean?
No, he said that they were in the way, so Boozlebob says clear way.
Oh, okay. Let's see if he understands that. Now I'll start doing sense motive checks. Yeah, so he understands, and he looks at you very curiously. He's like, "What do you mean by that?"
Boozlebob looks at the hole in the wall again.
You rolled decent diplomacy check. Yeah, so he's curious. He's looking at you very. He doesn't say very much, but he's looking at you and he's curious, and he says, I wouldn't talk that way around town. There's a lot of the citizens here are loyal. You can get thrown in hardships hurt for less than that.
Boozlebob looks at the hole in the wall again.
He smiles and he got a little jowl. He laughs. His jowl jiggles a little bit, and he says, "You look like you can handle yourself. I do not question that at all. I just, are you sure you could stand against dozens of knights?"
Boozlebob shrugs and walks away.
Okay. He seems very, very interested and curious. Like, I hope to speak to you again. What was your name?
Boozlebob. Let's see. What would Boozlebob say? I guess he would say booze while he was skipping away.
He laughs to himself and says, "All right, Booze. I hope to see you again."
All right.
All right. Oh, and he offers for you and your friends a 10% discount on my store the first time you visit. And it's called Healthy Heart Alchemicals or something like that.
All right. Boozlebob will try to convey that to Nero.
All right, Boozlebob, so you have done your stuff. You have not found a headband of intelligence yet, but you're walking around, and you found someone who was interested in your taxation and being theft. And Vors, you're asking about search parties. Are they looking for volunteers? So go ahead and make a diplomacy check to see. You're talking around town. You're basically just asking people. Are you asking? Would you ask the knights directly? Like, would you walk up to an Imedean knight?
If I could, was coming up dry, basically.
Okay, yeah, so roll diplomacy check for normal people first, and we'll see what you get. Okay. Yeah, so you get some pretty good results. You're talking around, and very quickly you find out that the Imedean Knights are just leading the searches themselves. Like, they're glorious reclamation patrols, and they have some halfling slingers, but those people have been officially recruited into the militia of Cantaria. They're not looking for just adventurers or mercenaries to join them at this point.
Can we say that Iwan went with Boris because I think she'd be interested in this?
Sure.
Okay. So Ivan will say, yeah, so I appreciate you want leadership to go, but this was the same leadership that, wasn't capable of dealing with this demon in the first place. Look, we were there. We know how this went down. This demon told us that there, an item from his master was stolen. We promised him that we would get it, and he agreed to sort of just calm down in the meantime. So I think we're going to do this. Can you tell us where they're going, like, so that we can, or at least who we might talk to understand where we can launch off to help with this effort?
Sure. So again, you're just talking to normal people mostly. So you're not like talking to a knight, of the Glorious Reclamation, unless you specifically say you want to. But the normal
No, I think this would be, she's like trying to get them, to understand. Yeah.
Make a diplomacy check to see how you're swaying them. So, but
Sure.
a lot of them are basically like, you got to talk to the knights. Basically, they keep directing you like, oh, these are all just things we've heard. They're going here, they're going there, and they mention a couple of names of some of the knights. And most of when they refer to knights, they're talking about the 6th sword knights in town, which are very like 3rd level in the knight tiers of the Church of Iomedae. So like they're what they refer to as knights. There are also like squires and sergeants also in town. Like there are many levels of knights in town. And basically they explain like they go out in groups of like 8 or 10, and they go out together, they come back together, and most of the people haven't seen them come with attaches of other normal people. So you don't do super well with your diplomacy check, but you do kind of, some of your questions land on the right ears, and you say like, this is the incompetent leadership that couldn't deal with the devil. Some people nod along with you. One guy even says that Thrune would have had that devil working for him in under an hour. But what are you going to do? So you get a little kindling of there are some Thrunes in town, but not a whole lot.
But so the knights are basically taking their orders on where to go from the council.
Specifically, I think Oppian is probably the one in charge. He's the strategic leader of the forces in town, so he's probably leading them like that. But the people are certain that the sergeants and knights, they have some discretion on their own, even if they aren't taking orders from Oppian.
Okay.
And
any of the knights tend to, I don't know, have friction with Oppian?
That's a good question. Let me see. Secret roll. No, you don't know of any knights in town that have any opposition to Oppian. It seems to be a fairly tight ship. Everybody here is very excited to be in this town because Iomedae herself lived here, and everybody is just serving the church in the way that they do. And no one has ever heard of any inter-church problems.
Are there any among the knights that would have potentially also been considered to lead? Who else is well respected?
They point out that Oppian actually isn't a knight. He's a cleric. He's basically a priest in the church, and he was put in charge. He's basically put in charge of the whole operation, and he's the most senior ranking member of the church, even above Feridith Zane, the Razospore. So he's the natural choice for a leader of the town. I don't think any of the other knights were even vying for the position. And she shrugs and who was you talking to? Oh, just regular people. Yeah, so one of the people you talk to shrugs and says, I don't even know that the knights would want to really lead the town. They'd rather be out fighting things. Vors, you're all black now. Do you want to say anything else to the people, or anything else you want to ask while you're out?
You're in my pocket.
Hi.
No, I'm pretty good with all that.
Okay. All right, yeah, so you guys, you just walk around town, and then you all kind of meet up again wherever you're going to meet up, near the Little Uskwood or whatever. And you were curious about the camps. So there are 3 camps that you have heard about, or 3 places you've heard about out in the wilderness. The first is the halfling areas on the banks of the river and stuff like that, like the freed halflings that basically went into the wilderness to live. And that's where, what's his name? Nikolai says, or Nikolai, whatever it is, said there are 2 halflings that he promised to his master and already spent all the money, and he's looking for you guys to help him recapture them. There was talk of Thrune loyalists out in the woods, but you don't know where that is other than just around in the Whisperwood, I think it's called. And there's also a work camp, which I think is a couple hours north of town that you've heard a couple times. Hardship's Hearth, and it's run by that Jalea Hajara lady. So do you have any preference on which one you would check out?
What was the second one? So there was the Halfling Camp, the Hardship's Hearth, and the second one was...
It's Thrune loyalists, but they're just kind of out in the forest. You'd basically be out looking for them. You don't have a specific place to go to.
Okay.
So, quick question, because I kind of am losing track of the days. When was it that we were supposed to meet up with, or could meet up with Rosalago?
I have also lost track of that day. You've been in town, I think this is day 4. And I think you said was every 3 days? So I think yesterday, but we forgot about it. So we could just say today then.
Because, if we're interested in finding the Thrune folks, we might, I don't know, ask him if he can help us figure out where they might be, or if he's heard anything, or something like that.
Sure. We can see that happens sometime tonight.
Okay.
Let me make a note of that. Rosalago tonight. Okay. So, what would you like to do in the meantime while you're waiting for that to happen? Did you want to scout out either of the other 2 camps?
Vors would like to go check out the prison, like the work camp.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good.
Okie dokie. I will take your tokens over to a map. Dee-lee-dee-dee. Dee-lee-dee-dee. It should load for you. It says wearing robes in your. Are you wearing Imadean robes, or what kind of robes are you wearing?
No, I shouldn't be wearing the robes anymore. I took them off.
Okay, I'll take it. Take that off. Let me know when that finishes loading for everybody.
It's done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Welcome to Hardship's Hearth, everybody. So, let me get one of these things open. Let me find out where Hardship's Hearth is, and I have a bunch of stuff to read. Dee-dee-dee-dee. All right. You guys can make knowledge checks to see if you know anything about this area as you're approaching it. So it's 2 hours walk from Cantaria. Hardship's Hearth is a major hub. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. What does it say?
Vors would take Scarta if it's that far.
Oh, sure. Yeah, she's not here, but you're riding on her. That's fine. Let's see. Vors doesn't... Vors and Boozlebob... Oh, you don't have knowledge skills, Boozlebob. You rolled a 20, though, but you can't roll checks.
I resent that statement.
You should put ranks in them. Yeah, so both Vors and Iowa know a bit about the history of this place. Asking around town, the people you've talked to, you found out that there used to be a slave pen called... a slave camp called The Pen, and it was mostly used for slaves that were awaiting transport through the docks, basically north or south to the mountains or into mainland Sheliax. So this was like where they kept slaves in pens waiting to be sold or transported. It's been renamed Hardship's Hearth by the Imadeans, and you believe it houses Thrune loyalists and soldiers loyal to the House Narcopolis. So you guys approach the thing, and you see that to your right, you can see the camp. To the right of the screen, basically the big walls. They're 15 foot high, and they have even higher 20-foot towers along all the edges. And go ahead and make a perception check.
Joe, is there any weird knowledge I might know by using the brain true strike?
Any weird knowledge about the place? No. There's nothing super knowledgey, no. You can't crit this roll.
Boo.
Not a whole lot to learn about the old camp.
I was hoping.
So, Vors and Boozlebob, you do see that there are people in the tower. You do make out a halfling and a squire in at least the 2 towers that are next to you. And they do turn to look at you, and the squire calls out. But you get a good look at him as, they kind of watch you for a couple seconds, and they call out and says, "Halt, who goes there?"
Booze Bob yells back, booze.
They don't know what that means. So you see the squire starts talking to the halfling next to them, and just for your knowledge, to the south there are like smaller buildings that are outside of the main camp. Smaller wooden buildings that you don't see any doors into yet. And the lady squire shouts back, I don't know who that is. She says, who are you, and what is your business here at Harsh's Hearth?
Boozlebob shrugs and looks at Nero.
We met with the council earlier. We just came to look at what was going on out here. We met with the council. We met with, what's her name with the tattoos?
Jalea.
We met with Jalea. We met with the council. We just wanted to see what was going on out here.
So she wanted to spar with Booze, and I gesture to Bob.
That's true. So go ahead and make a diplomacy check. Both Vors and Nero can make diplomacy checks.
It's a long time until it's 10 o'clock in town, you know what I mean?
Let's see. I'm gonna roll someone. Yes, she's a drinker, so she laughs. She says, "Yeah, I know that feeling." And yeah, so she's both of you rolled extremely well. So she says, "Let me go get Julia," and she climbs down the thing, leaving her post to go summon Julia. The halfling stays up there, and he just keeps watching you. But as the squire was walking, she kind of gestures for you to come over a little bit. So you walk up a little bit more, and she walks into the building and gets Julia. So she disappears, and Julia comes out with her. Ta-da! And she walks over, and she's immediately looking at Boozlebob, and you notice her eyes kind of linger on you a bit as she looks at your rippling muscles.
Boozlebob flexes.
She enjoys that. She enjoys that a bit. And she smiles and she says, "Booze, is it? And you brought all your friends? What can we do for you here?"
Booze points at Nero, but stares at her.
Booze points at Nero and stares at her, and she turns to Nero and says,
I was just interested in seeing what kind of work camp you had here. We ran work details and that sort of stuff over in Longacre before Longacre sort of fell back down, sort of stayed where it was. I was just interested in what kind of stuff you're doing over here. I know that you and Booze were probably going to scrap at some point or another. I figured I'd tag along.
and she turns to Boozlebob and she says, "Are you here to spar?"
Boozlebob firmly plants his flail in the dirt.
And she seems excited about that. She says, "Yes, excuse me." And she kind of gestures for everybody else to get out of the way, and she begins cracking her knuckles and stuff. She says, "I'll give you a full tour after one round."
Lady Jalila, he's not maybe the sharpest knife in the drawer, so I'm going to try to impose upon him that this is not a death contest.
She says, "So, first one to hit the ground. You want tripping?"
Is Nero negotiating this, or am I?
She's talking to Nero and looking at you, like, because you don't seem to be answering.
Yeah, and I'll yell at Bob, "No boot flail."
All right, Bob firmly plants his boot flail in the ground.
Okay.
Just sparring, no, just bruising, no permanent damage. Okay.
All right.
Bob, you got me.
We'll see what happens.
Okay. All right. So she's basically just standing in front of you, and we'll just roll initiative. So she's looking at you, and you're looking at her. Everybody's ready, and she won. What's up?
Wait, what? How did she win?
She rolled. I don't know what she rolled, but she got a 7, and you got a 4.
Initiative.
What?
She didn't win the
Damn
fight,
it.
dude.
Yeah, she won the initiative. She didn't win the fight.
I'm sorry, I was looking. I'm trying to figure something out on the sheet.
Oh, okay. No, she won initiative. Sorry. Yeah, she wins. You lose. Game over.
I was like, what the fuck?
Man, she whooped your ass.
Yeah.
One roll.
Yeah. So she walks up to you, and she launches with a left and then spins around and hits you with her right leg, or tries to. So she's going to get many attacks. So a 19, a 10, and a 7. So only the 19 hits. So you take 8 damage, and it's not lethal, but we'll just put it as lethal. And then make a fortitude save, as that left kind of rang your bell a little bit. Okay, you're good. Yeah, so you resist. She conks you in the head, and a normal person may have been stunned or something like that, but you appear to be totally fine with that. And then, as she finishes her crazy kick and swing at you, she falls back down, and you see her standing in a very peculiar stance. You've never seen anybody fight like this before.
All right, how do I rage?
Doing.
You gotta go on your sheet and turn on rage. I'm sure Nas made a button for you.
I did.
I don't think he did.
You're a crap. Go to your
Did
sheet.
you?
Yeah, I'll turn it on, dude.
Let's go to the bottom, and like there's buffs
It's
and
on.
effects. Okay, now you gotta
Oh.
resync.
All right, yeah, here we go. We'll resync here.
You
Here we go.
resync, and then you get your weapon. So she's standing in this weird stance you've never seen. She's moving very quickly.
All right, hold on. It's taking a while.
This,
There you
this
go.
shitty website, I tell you.
Yeah, Sync RPG. Here we
Sync
go.
RPG.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Boozlebob is gonna make a melee attack right now.
Yeah, and are you using a fist? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I've
I
got no
think-
flails.
That's number 5 is your fisticuffs.
Okay.
Attack 5.
Wrong! Unless you're trying to
it's
grapple her.
It's not 5 then.
That's not a
No,
5. You rolled combat
that's
maneuver.
a-
You didn't
Oh wait, I'm being really dumb today. Okay,
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
there you go.
Oh, yeah. So you missed. You rolled a 1. So you missed, and as you come in with your fist, you watch as the weird stance she comes in. She grabs your arm in her elbow and slams it down like that, and she now has you grappled.
Mm.
And where's that button? DVD, grapple-y. And that was your turn. You failed to hit her. And on her turn, she tries to pin you. And an 18 is not enough. So you see her trying to take out your leg and knock you to the ground, but she fails to do so. And then it's your turn again. You're grappled, so you're limited in your options. My first question is, do you want to break the grapple or try to take control of it?
Well, you can just attack in the grapple and take a penalty
You
too.
can just punch.
How do I bring out my claws?
I think you just, when you're rage, you can have claws if you want.
Okay, I want claws.
Okay, so do you have a button for claws?
No.
It'd be the same as the fisticuffs.
Is it the same?
I
Are they
think it's
1d3s?
1d. I think it's 1d4, but
So just roll fisticuffs, and then we'll roll a d4 instead. All right, so a 23 is a hit. So then roll a d4 over there, the first dice on the thing. Okay, and it has a plus 11 to it. So you rolled 13 damage to her. And that's lethal damage, right? Because that's claws. You can't really control that. Yeah, so you claw. She's got you in a grapple, and you're just clawing at her. And she does not seem to like that. So she is gonna. Well, you're only fighting till someone hits the ground. So she's gonna try, or so she thinks. So she's gonna try to trip you again on her turn. 25 does trip you, so your back hits the ground, Boozlebob. You have officially lost the fight, but it is your turn.
Boozlebob grabs his flail.
Bob, no,
Big one. And uses the flail to stand up.
You're still. She's pinned you, and like she's basically saying, like, "Are you done?" You say, "Uncle." Like she's on top of you still. She's not letting you go until it's over.
Can I grab the flail while she's on top of me?
You can grab, with your arm or something like that, but you can't stand up like you were saying. You can go like this with a flail, which she's kind of looking at you with crazy eyes, like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, so Bob says uncle,
Okay, and then yeah, she lets up.
and she lets go. Bob grabs the flail,
Yeah.
and then uses the flail like a pole to stand up,
Okay.
and that's it.
Okay, good. All right. I wasn't sure where you were going with that. And she offers to help you up, but sees you standing up, so she just nods and she claps you on the shoulder and says, "That was a good fight."
Bob grunts and puts his boot flail back on his boot.
She looks to her side, and you can see that part of her orange robe has been like clawed, like basically 3 or 4 claw marks in it. And she does have some blood on the side over there. And she looks up and she says, like, where did that come from? And she's looking at your hands. Are you unraged already?
I just deraged.
Yeah. So your hands don't have claws, but you have just blood all over the tips of your fingers, as if you did have claws. And she's looking, says, "How did you? Those aren't that sharp."
Boozlebob is, he points at the flail.
let me see you.
She gestures to her wound.
And Nero will, do the cure light wound on her.
Okay. Sure, go ahead and toss me a D8 or whatever it is you people roll these days. That's pretty good. Yeah, so you heal her for 7s. So you see that they all heal up, and she's happy with that result. She's still pretty shocked though. She's looking at Boozlebob kind of crazy, like, how did your fingernails? And she says, like, I've never fought an orc before. Are all orcs' fingernails like that?
Boozlebob says no and smiles.
She says, "Yeah, we'll have to watch those next time." And she gestures, says, "Fist, I'd rather take a clock to the head than scratch like that." And she's kind of like, ugh. But she nods and she says, as I said, I'm a lady of my word. I'll give you a tour of the camp. She seems curious though. What kind of camps were you running, or where were you running them?
Longacre, we were doing, work groups. There wasn't a lot of work going around, and things were kind of tough in the town because of all the unrest. And a lot of people are just trying to get by.
She nods. She says, "What was it? Just a work camp, or what? Like, she gestures behind her to a very large locked door, and she says, like,
"No, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't prisoners and dissidents and that sort of thing. I think it was just mostly, people who wanted to get by. I know that there was we had to break up some stuff between Thrune loyalists and people who were in support of the Glorious Reclamation, but most of the people were just trying to get by."
Okay. She nods and she says, "Yeah, it's pretty much the same here, except," and she looks down at the ground and says, "We don't let them out. Like, it's too dangerous in town, especially after we heard what happened in Longacre. It's a powder keg waiting to happen."
What do you have them doing?
She says mostly, lumber work. We will go out. We take them out to the forest, chop down trees, move that logs back to the docks.
Oh, okay. Easy enough, float them down the river.
Exactly. Yeah. She nods. She says, "But yeah, as I said, I'll give you a tour." And she takes you to the door. Let's see if I have anything to say about the door. A single gate leads into the camp. It's kept locked from the outside at all times. So there's a big, latch and key in the front, and she has the key, so she takes it from around her neck, and she puts it in, and she opens the door. And you guys can reveal. Pow. I'll move Nero in. Pow. Right? So she walks in and she gestures. You see 3 buildings. I'm using the fog just to reveal the buildings as you come by. But the first one you see to the north of the whole area is a burned barrack. So she gestures and she says, "During the rebellion, a Thrune battle mage cast a stray fireball that destroyed this barrack. It burned it to the ground." And she gestures towards it. And she shows you what's inside.
Is that what it looks like?
Go ahead and make a perception check.
So, by the way,
Yep.
while the group is kind of heading in, Ivan will be kind of behind and on her way pretend to drop something right where the fight happened.
Sure.
And as she picks it up, she'll kind of wipe her hand across like a blade of grass that had some of the blood on it.
Uh-huh.
And then as she's moving through the door and is kind of out of sight of the people in the tower, she'll just quickly go to scratch her back, but kind of go towards her backpack where Plotty happens to be, and let him get a little drop of that from her finger, and then move on.
Yeah, so he starts going a little bit crazy, but you're good at controlling your undead minions and stuff. So
she'll make sure that it's a really tiny size drop.
Yeah. So you do that, and you feel him on your back or near your neck, wherever he is. You feel him writhing and wriggling as if he knows he has a job and he can smell the thing nearby. But you pat him a bit and calm him down, and he's just kind of tense on your shoulder, waiting. All right. And yeah, so perception checks. Nero and Vors, you both believe that is probably this could be the result of a fireball. You can see char marks exploding out from a central point. This it doesn't look like arson or anything like that from what you guys can notice.
Sure.
You believe she's probably telling the truth. And Jalea then goes and gestures over to this area over here, and she says, "There's a kitchen over here, and then the barrack for the prisoners is to the south."
Are they all out?
No, they are not out today. It is, we'll just say, an Iamadean holiday or something, and there's no work today. Everybody's here.
Interesting. How many do you house?
She says, not too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 or 15.
Okay. Interesting. Anyone a note?
Make a diplomacy check. That's pretty good. She starts rattling off the name of some people, but no one you've ever heard of. She just basically is saying, like, this loyalist family, this guy's been loyal in Arcopolis for years and things like that. Just kind of big names in town, but no one that really seems to register with you.
Okay.
And she says that there is one special prisoner, and her eyes actually look away for a second, that I've been having special trouble with.
Really?
She sighs and says, "Yeah, she won't eat, she won't talk, she won't. I don't know. She won't do anything."
Who is she?
She looks at you. She was almost lost talking to Nero for a second, but she turns around, looks to Vors, and says, she was a wandering Hell Knight, a traveling Hell Knight who happened to be in town during the Reclamation siege, and she, we pacified her and took her into the camp, but she won't. She's basically given up on life. She won't respond. She won't talk to us. Won't do anything.
I mean, I've got a way with people. You might have noticed. Do you want me to talk to her?
She looks at you and says, "Well, what would you say? Like what?"
I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna convince her to give up being a Hell Knight or anything that lofty, but I might be able to talk her into taking meals and being useful. Even if it's because she thinks she got hope of the town falling or a change in management or God only knows what.
Yeah, she shakes her head and says, I don't want to give her any false hopes about that. It's we've separated her from the other prisoners because we're afraid of her saying things like that in front of them.
Okay.
But she's kind of warming up to the idea of you talking to her. What else can she say? She confides in you. She says, the Glorious Reclamation is trying to keep the Hell Knights out of this conflict. The various orders. They're not. Some of them are loyal to Thrune, but others. And she shrugs and she says, we're hoping to keep them out of the conflict. But she won't respond. She won't talk to us. She won't eat. And she's so despondent. So she's repeating herself.
The Reclamation's a tough thing. I mean, I think if you were going to find any common ground with anyone, it might have been the God Claw.
She kind of perks up and then sighs, and she says, "Perhaps at least they revered law above all else. It's
Right.
better than demon worship, devil. We keep saying demon, but it's devil. Sorry."
Yeah.
So you rolled a pretty good diplomacy check. She's willing to let you talk with the Hell Knight prisoner. So she, as she's doing that, a chef walks out of this building over here. As explained to me earlier, it was a kitchen. And she walks out and she sees everybody in the thing, and she almost drops her plate full of food. And she goes, "Oh!" And she goes, "Jalea, I was just bringing you your dinner, because now it's about 6 p.m. Anybody want to react to her? Or?
Maybe Julia would.
Yeah, Julia's probably gonna.
She-
Yeah. So she looks and she says, "Go ahead. You can just put it on the table in my office." And the chef begins to walk past all of you. And she's looking. Yeah, you can give me perception checks as she walks by. She's looking very suspiciously at all of you. She looks very scared. And when she passes by, Julia explains that she is a prisoner as well. She is a Thrune loyalist, but she's been granted some measure of freedom, for basically being a good a good prisoner, I guess, and an useful chef. So she actually walks out of the camp and then comes back in, and then goes back to the kitchen unless anyone stops her. All right. If nothing else, yeah, Julia will gesture for you to follow her and bring you all over. I'll just drag Nero again. You guys can follow as you like. She brings you over to this window. And inside, there is a Hell Knight prisoner. If you hover over, you can see her art.
Where did you go? Because I don't think I came along, and I don't.
I
see what I'm
didn't
supposed to
drag
see.
anybody else other than Nero. I'll drag you all.
Oh, okay.
It's to the
Got
south.
Yep.
Yeah, so in this window over here, you guys are looking through, and they gesture, and you see this sullen-looking Hell Knight just kind of sitting on the couch, eyes kind of deep in her head, as if she hasn't eaten in a couple of days. What would you like to do?
I'm not in the room. I'm near the window.
Yeah, you're near the window. She didn't let you into the room. She took you to the window, and you can see it's barred. There's no glass. It's just a barred window into a cell. And she says that's her. That's Zara or Solani.
I'm not sure what the proper honorific would be.
She sighs and says she's a shield Marilictor of the Order of the Rack.
Yeah.
And I'll type that all out for you. Hell Knight Zara or Solani, shield Marilictor of the Order of the Rack. And Julia says that name and looks over to her as if she would respond to it, but she doesn't. She's just sitting there on the bed and not even looking up.
So Nero does an appropriate salute and says something like, "Hail, Shield Marilictor Zara, Shield Marilictor or Solani."
She doesn't even acknowledge that. She's just sitting there. She hasn't even responded to that.
In Infernal, if you prefer.
And you say that in Infernal, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she perks up a little bit, and you see her through hair in her face. She looks up at you. Says nothing.
So I take it you'd prefer Infernal?
And she just says in Infernal. She says, "Speak."
My name is Nero, House Nero. I came from Longacre. And when I heard they were holding a Hell Knight, I wanted to come and talk to you.
She just shakes her head and says, "Talk to me. They've been talking to me for weeks. Let me out of this cage."
What have they been trying to do? Convert you?
She says, I guess. I don't know. They want me to be nice to them. I don't know what they want. They locked me in a cell and want me to be happy with it somehow.
So you're not eating, you're not sleeping.
Yes. Yeah. She just grunts. She's like, what's the point?
I mean, the point is what befits your office, and Nero will cite some obscure
course
some
you would.
obscure bit of Hell Knight like order stuff about like readiness and staying ready and
Yeah, go ahead and make a diplomacy check with that.
Sure.
Yeah. So you do that, and you do touch on a nerve, and she gestures, she raises her arms, and you can see she's completely unarmored. She's basically wearing a potato sack, and she says, I stand before you all I am, and this is all they will let me be. I cannot escape. I've tried. They will not let me out.
so don't try to get out. If I bring you some proper clothes and a book, will you at least eat something?
She spits back immediately in the longest sentence she said before. Give me a shield and a sword, and I'll take care of that monk myself. Fight my way out of here if you give me a shield and a sword. And
I don't know that
Julia laughs when she hears that.
Does Julia know Infernal?
Oh, never mind. No, I don't think she does.
It doesn't matter. It's basically Nero's gonna.
She doesn't know.
Nero would relay that anyway, but because he's not trying to be sneaky here. That would have been something I might have asked if I noticed if she was funny about Infernal, if she understands anything.
No,
I'm
she
saying.
doesn't. I was dumb. Yeah, I forgot what you're speaking.
No, that's okay. No, that's okay. It might not be long before your liberation's at hand. And Nero will like put his hand up on the bars. And I don't know if she's marked, but
are you making it glow, or are you only making it glow for those who can see it, like the normal way?
only for those who can see it, yeah, because I don't want Julia to see it.
She does not have that, so no, she does not.
Yeah, that's
see
fine.
It. Yeah.
That's fine, and that's something he's gauging as well.
Julia has quite the beard. Yeah, so she's just generally sullen and terse, and she's not super interested in the things you've had to say. But this is, Julia seems impressed. This is more than anyone's gotten out of her in a while. She says, not too many in the Glorious Reclamation know Infernal. How did you learn it?
My first avocation was failing to be an Asmodean acolyte.
And she looks your first? What was your second?
There's been quite a few, librarian mostly.
She chuckles, and she looks back into the room, and she looks at the sullen Hell Knight prisoner, and she says to you, she's like, we've treated her as well as we can, given the circumstances. We're being as reasonable as possible. We'd love to return her, but we can't in this state. The Order of Iraq would declare war on us.
Zara. Can I call you Zara?
She grunts.
Eat something. It won't be terribly long, okay?
One more diplomacy check. You already did really well.
Sure.
One more. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to read this bit about the Order of the Rack that I pasted. The Order of the Rack numbers among the Hell Knight orders that the public most loathes. The Order has a reputation for raiding the homes of those who speak out against the status quo, for breaking up groups of malcontents before they become guilds, unions, or revolutionaries. They are the enemies of foreign ideals and innovations, not because they lack merit, but because they detract from what these Hell Knights perceive as the traditional values of Southern Avestan. Art and technology are viewed as wasteful or dangerous, especially when they meet in union. None can say how many valuable printing presses the Hell Knights of the Rack have destroyed, or how many thousands of pages of unique stories, songs, and philosophies have burned in the shadow of the Citadel Rivad. All of this is summarized in the Order of the Rack symbol, the Torturer's Wheel, which is the Order sees it as embodied as the wayward thinking and the suffering manifested by those permitted to indulge their ideas. And I'll paste you a picture of the Order of the Rack thing. Why not? Just drop it in the thing as a background item, I guess. Does this work? Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go.
Ooh.
That fog of war.
Moving the whole map and stuff. That was great. I'm the best. Yeah, I missed it. I'm the best. It's all good. Anyway, so background, this thing, you can see that if you like. That's the Order of the Rack symbol. And that's it. Yeah. So you kind of you did talk her into eating. She nods and says, "We'll see how long we'll see." And she
You're
just
of no use. You're of no use to me if you can't stand. Understand?
She nods. She nods, and she looks at you for longer than she has in the past. She looks at you as if memorizing your face, and then nods.
Eat something. I'll bring you some clothes.
Okay. All right. Again, Jalea seems happy with that. Jalea seems like you've done more than anyone else has done so far. And says, if I knew it would just take someone speaking Ignan and a new set of clothes, I would have done that weeks ago. Or
We'll see. I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's no guarantee, but she's at least listening. Maybe I can talk her into something.
Jalea nods.
So what did you mean you just turn her loose? You just let her go?
She says it's not entirely up to me, to be honest. Appian would like to deliver her safely back to Citadel, whatever it is, Rivad, whatever it's called. Deliver her back to her order, back to her knights. But we'd like to do it on good terms. We'd like to do it with her, at least accepting that what we did was necessary and that we tried our best to treat her well. We're not looking to start a fight with the Order of the Rack.
I mean, I think you're going to have a fight with all the orders shortly. But...
she sighs and says, they haven't, none of the orders have pledged loyalty to Thrune. She doesn't say this. This is just letting you know. The other orders, they don't pledge loyalty to Thrune. They pledge loyalty to their gods and their ideals, and they exist in Cheliax as respected institutions, but not as direct extensions of the government. So, none of them really, they would prefer Thrune stay in power, but none of them really are obliged to defend that.
Okay. Fair enough.
Anything else?
No.
All right. So, I guess we'll take you guys out of the camp. Julia will go back into her house. That's all the people. And Plotty. I think I forgot your zombie hound Archon last time. Yeah, he's over here still. All right. Back to the map of Cantaria. Boop. All right. And by the time you get back, now it's nighttime. So it was 2 hours away, and it was about 6 p.m. when you were there. So you get back, and it's 8 p.m. So you've got...
Do we have to go all the way back? It's north of the town, right?
Yes. Where do you want to
go? Do you guys have someplace to be? Do you mind if I do a little something?
What do you want to do?
Yeah, probably. What is it that you have in mind, and can we help?
I've been trying to put together all these thoughts of where, if you were going to be in these forests where you were. I was looking at, the idea of the geography, the idea of the terrain, what people have been saying about where they've been looking, where they haven't been finding anything. It'll take me a minute to reason out, but I was thinking I might try at least to reason it out and see where we might search. Try to be back in town by 10.
Go for it.
Yeah, you can spend a couple hours kind of wandering around if you like. Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing Nero will do is he's going to he pulls out a sheet of paper and he just sort of writes, and he's sort of trying to draw everything together, and he's just going to do an augury about
oh dear.
Wheeler Woe, just a Wheeler Woe thing about searching for them in the woods, like where he would think to search based on geography and all that sort of nonsense.
Sure. Okay.
So an augury can...
Are you actually? You're just basically asking, will you find one of the two things if you search there, or what are you asking? Like, you're saying, in this spot, is it good or bad to go there? What's your question exactly?
Right, pretty much. Like, is this a good spot to search for the Thrune loyalists that are in the North Forest? Pretty much.
Okay, sure.
So they only look forward about half an hour or so, but...
All right, everybody's going there, so everybody, I'll zoom in on you. You can all make a survival check. So click on yourself and click on the survival button. And we'll use the biggest one, we'll get it, and then 10 plus will help. There you go. All right, so the 15
Oh,
is it
Bob.
plus 4, so it's a 19. Boozle Bob cannot help you in the forest.
Bob dies.
You guys get a 19, and you get a pretty good assessment of the forest. It's a fairly large forest. I don't have a map of the Whisperwood, but I will on the Google group. It's fairly large, and based on the information that Iwin and Vors were able to get from the townsfolk, like where they've heard patrols have been and things like that, they were able to give you like little draw on a map basically. Like, we think they've been here and here and stuff like that. And you cast Augury, and I roll a secret roll.
Is this the final countdown?
Yeah, it's the final countdown. It's the final one. You get whoa. You do not believe even after everything you said. You basically pick a section of the forest and you say here, and you ask your wow. This is really a low level spell. It's only second level, huh? So who do you ask?
Yeah.
Do you ask a specific deity, or who do you ask?
I would imagine that he just reaches out into the beyond kind of thing. Like, it's sort of like he's super brainy.
Okay. Anyone who will answer, or you reach out to your own brain somehow.
Hang on, I'll send you the link on what the lore thing is. Hang on.
Sure.
He basically writes and like tries to draw together conclusions.
This is the one with the pen, whatever, the
Yes.
quill. Oh, sweet,
Yes.
yeah. So this is automatic writing or whatever. So you're not casting augury like the spell. You have
Correct.
you have like a magic pen because you're an oracle, and it just starts writing the truth.
Correct.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
truth.
So you're basically drawing a map, and you have Vors and Iwin. They're helping you, and you're scouting around a bit, and they're saying, "Yeah, this is what I heard. They were searching this area of the forest and that area of the forest." And you circle an area with the pen, and it begins like basically writing bad things will happen there. Like, you're not going to find what you're looking for, and there are powerful monsters in the forest as well.
Okay. All right. Well, we've saved some time, I suppose, by knowing that they're not there.
Mm-hmm.
I think we probably just go back.
Okay. Anybody else want to do anything outside of town before you get back to the little Uskwood? And then it's about 10 p.m. if you want to go party at the Sweetest Drop Tavern. All right. So who is staying at the inn and who is going out to party?
Boozle Bob's going to party.
Anybody else going?
Yeah, I'll go party.
Okay. Nero?
Nero, go, sure.
Iwan?
Probably. One quick question. So when Iwan gets back into town and when it's around party time, does plot? So I'm assuming that when we got back to town, we would have been far enough away from the camp that Plotty would have kind of quieted down.
Yes. Like, you can still feel him. Like, he's wiggling a little bit as if like he knows he's got a mission, but he's much calmer now that he's far away from his quarry. Yeah.
Right. So the question is, when it comes party time, does that change?
Why would
If she come
Like,
around.
is she back around town?
Oh, no. I'm not sure how you would have found out, but Jalea doesn't. She's not a party type, and she pretty much, except for when she's in town for council meetings or acquiring things for Hardships Earth, she spends her entire time up there seeing the needs of the prisoners.
Yeah, sure. Iwan would go.
Okay, understood. Yeah, so you all go to party, and it's a much different scene than what you saw earlier today. It was dead early when you just had your lunch there, and now it's already like loud and raucous. There are already extremely drunk people at this tavern at 10 p.m. and there's lots of gambling and loud kind of conversing and stuff like that. And as you come in, Jana Holdis is just, she opens her arms and says, Nero, Vors, come here, and she opens her arms as if to hug both of you.
I will go get a hug.
Sweet. How about you, Vors?
Kiss her on the cheek.
Oh, smooth. Look at you.
Oh, well, we'll do like the European both cheeks.
Nice, classy. This is how we do it where I'm from, in Reminizo or wherever I'm from. Yeah. So she's happy to see both of you, and you can tell she's already a little drunk herself. But she's behind the bar and she's serving drinks, and the place is like, it's crazy. There's people like swinging on chandeliers and stuff. It's already crazy. What would you guys like to do?
So while they're like going and doing that, let's say Iwan is kind of like just moving very slowly through the crowd and trying to just listen to hear if she hears any voices of discontent.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a diplomacy check to gather information. So go ahead and toss me one of those.
Okay.
All right.
She won't be specifically talking with anybody, just listening,
Yeah,
like trying to over.
that's fine. That's still I'd still call it diplomacy, I guess. Yeah. So you're kind of just are you getting a drink and sitting in the corner, or are you just walking around, or how you doing that?
Just like she'll have a drink that she's kind of sipping, and she'll make it look like she's just kind of like looking around to find an interesting group, but really be listening out of each ear and figuring out what's going on.
Okay. You do hear a little bit of discontent, like there's not a whole lot of complaining going on, and since you're not asking pointed questions or anything like that, there's not people are pretty much here to get drunk and have a good time. No one's complaining about the leadership or the Thrunes or anything like that. They're just here to get drunk. Heal yourself, Boozy. Oh, okay, I'll do it. Boozy. Booze. All right. Yeah. So you don't hear anything too crazy. So that was Iwen. Boozlebob, what are you doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah, at a raucous bar at 10 at night.
Oh, getting rowdy, supposedly.
Yeah. You drinking?
Yeah, he's drinking.
I haven't drank.
Yeah. So Booze has been drinking.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's just dancing with his flail. He's got his dancing flail out. He's doing his thing.
Sure.
I'm not causing any trouble right now.
Yeah. Okay. That's nice.
Dancing with it as in like swinging it around, or dancing with it as if it's like a dancing partner.
No. Like imagine Boozlebob with a top hat on, and he has the flail, but like the shaft of the flail, and he's using that like a dancing cane.
Oh, okay. Dancing cane. So you're not. I liked it better when it was like a person you were dancing with. That's fine. That's fine too.
Romancing the flail, yes.
Yeah, no. I'm not romantic.
He got the ball in his hand and the stick in his other, and he's just like, yeah. So he's dancing with his little flail. He's doing a little show. Why don't you, if you have perform, go ahead and click on yourself and click on the guy playing a lute.
I don't know that I do have it.
If you don't, we'll just have you roll a d20.
Okay, the dude playing a lute. Okay, there he is.
Yeah. So you didn't do too well. Yeah, you got a 3. You have a +1 somehow. Yeah, but you're doing your dance, and it's not a particularly good dance, and a lot of the people are just kind of looking at you strangely and staying out of your way because you have a weapon on the dance floor. But no one's giving you crap for it, especially because you're so large and they don't want to mess with a drunk large guy. So Vors and Nero, she's basically both invited you to sit at the bar and talk to her while she's serving other people, but you're free to do whatever you like. So let's do Vors first. What would you be doing?
Vors, yeah, he'll go talk to her.
Okay, and Nero...
He'll study that target.
Continue studying the target. And Nero, you would also come and sit at the bar and talk to her? Or?
Sure.
Okay. Did you have anything specifically you wanted to talk about?
I suppose Nero will try to schmooze bits of what's going on out of her, and we'll look to, pass on information about the work camp up in the north of the town. And what else?
She's serving drinks and she's shouting over other people. But when you mention the work camp, she says, "Oh, it's tragic what's happening there. It's a crime. They should really just let all the Thrune loyalists go." She says, "Like you and your friends that came from Longacre. Like we can be here and they can be there. We should just let them go."
One would think the Hell Knight there won't even eat.
She kind of perks up and says, "Hell Knight? The rumors are true? There's a Hell Knight at the camp?"
Apparently.
"Ha!" she says, and she pours another drink and takes a swig herself. Imagine that. And she seems genuinely surprised.
Yeah. And Vors would just say something to the effect of it being just another form of slavery being traded.
And she nods and she says, like, it's come up in the council before, but no one's ever said when they'll be released, like under what conditions they'll be released. Like, and she shrugs. She says, "This isn't what I signed up for. Like when that camp closed down, when the slave camp closed down, that was one of the happiest days I've seen for this town. It's the most, one of the best days we've had. And then they immediately filled it with more people."
Unfortunately, in wars, the little guys ends up getting stepped on. It doesn't matter who's in charge.
She sighs and says, "Truth to that," and begins to swig. Yeah, so it's getting a little dark for a fun party, but yay. So yeah, the party just keeps going, and Iwan's spying on people, looking around, and you two are talking to her, and Boozlebob is just being drunk and dancing. And give me another sense motive check there, Vors. Come on, man.
Whoa!
You really don't want this, buddy.
Totally want this.
Yeah, Nero, you don't notice anything out of the ordinary. She's being sincere and genuine with you the whole time. She is a little drunk. Both of you notice that she's a little drunk, but Nero's certain she's pretty drunk. She begins shouting louder than she means to. But she's like, "Come, everybody, come here! Tell him what happened in Longacre." And she wants you to basically repeat some of your stories and stuff like that. She's like, "You're not gonna believe this. Tell him about the werebore."
I could do that. And Nero, who has been drinking a little bit, he basically starts telling some of the story about the werebore and about how even compared to somebody like Boozlebob, the werebore was a powerful creature and this and that it got put down by the local people in town. And he goes into some detail about it. And about that, I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it. And as the pièce de résistance, he'll try to convince Bob to do like a show of strength and lift up a bench with a bunch of people on it.
Right.
Even more powerful than this.
All right, make a diplomacy check, Nero, and Michael, roll a d20.
I have a
Sure.
I have a perform oratory too.
Oh, I'll take that. I'll take one of them if you want to roll one of them. Booz rolled a 16, which is still pretty good. Like it's not a super heroic act. Like you walk over to the bench and you begin to pick it up, and it's heavier than you think it is. So you go in all like, and about a quarter of the way up, you're like, and then you get it all the way over your head, but it took you way more effort than you thought it did. And then you drop it with all the people still on it, and they hurt their butts, but are otherwise okay. And
What about
Nero,
the beers? Do they spill their beers?
yes, a bunch of them do spill their beers, but Jana laughs and says, don't worry, another round on me for those people. And she's impressed by Boozlebob's display as well. And yeah, you did an amazing good retelling of your stories with little flourishes and things like that, and Boozlebob at the end really helped. And the people enjoy your company. You seem like a very interesting person to them. So you're getting a little well known in town. And Vors, what were you doing while he was telling this amazing story and impressing all these people?
Basically just like kind of like settling up close to Jana.
Sneaking in, flanking.
Yeah.
What do you want to say?
I'm just playing it cool.
What else you got?
I don't know, I'll just say something just about how like Nero's like telling the story about like the werebore, just be like, yeah, we couldn't believe it either. Like if we hadn't seen it ourselves, like it was incredible. Yeah, and I'll just like make small talk, ask her what she's drinking, ask her like where's she from? Did she grow up here?
She did grow up here. She's like, yeah, I'm from town, and she tells you a little nuggets about herself, but it's nothing super interesting. But she's a townie. And basically, she's the one of the only. She is the only native Cantarian on the town council. Like the three Iomedeans are from out of town. Linton the Alchemist is from out of town, and whoever else there was. Loredana Viorica is from Nadal, but her family. It's a long story. But anyway, all of them are basically from out of town. So she's the only one that's from here. And she says, I think that's why they put me on, because they need one.
Well, do you have any family here? Or
she says, no brothers and sisters, no parents, and she says, no children yet. Thank God. Thank the gods. But yeah, so go ahead and give me another diplomacy check. You're talking with her, kind of having a side conversation, because she's heard the werebore story. And she's asking you like, yeah, so like what was it like? Like how did it fight? Like who did Boozlebob did that? And like kind of just asking you side questions while it's going on. And yeah, and you do pretty well, and she seems entertained and interested in that. What else we got? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Vors, give me a perception check. Come on. Give me something. All right. You notice that some people in the establishment are doing drugs. There's, like, I don't know what the actual drugs, I have to look them up better in Pathfinder, but snortable drugs. Moderately priced snortable drugs.
More coke.
Yeah. So you notice just among the crowd, a couple of people, it's not like widespread or anything. It's not like there's a table of cocaine people, but like every once in a while you see people kind of sneak out to like under the staircase or something. And you notice the telltale signs that people are snorting things here.
I guess I would just I would ask Jana about that and be like, so like, what's going on over there? Like, what are those guys doing?
She looks over and she says, I didn't see anything.
Oh, yeah? Then I'd be like, please.
I
was like, you run a tavern.
She smirks and she says, it's sometimes better just to not see things like that. Just.
So you're among friends. You won't be judged here.
Well, she just shrugs and says, it happens. People like to have a good time, and I don't like to stop them.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever like to have a good time?
Make a diplomacy check.
Ooh.
Oh man! And she
Came off creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. She kind of raises an eyebrow and she says, I have in the past, but I got a business to run.
That's fair. Yeah, it's usually not best to partake if you don't need to forget what's going on around you.
She hears that and she nods for a second and then kind of stops and says, sometimes some nights you want to forget though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. What else, you guys want to do? Anything else at this party?
No. Just schmooze. Schmooze, get a lay of the land.
Okie dokie.
See if anybody has heard anything about our lanky man.
Sure. You can give me another diplomacy check if you want to ask around about Lanky Man.
Sure, yeah.
Gregor or Dane.
Gregor Clegane, yes.
Yeah, pretty much. It is like the same name. That's what I was thinking in my head. It's creepy. But yeah, so you ask around, and not a whole lot of people know much about him. He doesn't seem like he was very popular or well known in town. And a couple of people do say like, "Oh, the weird lanky dude." And they describe him as weird and like offbeat, and stuff like that. And you do get a couple of people that say like they heard he was going with the Thrune loyalists, or they heard that he was going into the forest with the Narcopolis rebels, or whatever it was. But not a whole lot of people know or say that.
Okay.
All right. So you guys go back to the little Uskwood Inn. What time would you guys leave?
Midnight?
Yeah, probably 11:30.
Okay.
Maybe
One,
midnight.
whatever.
Have like two rounds maybe.
Okay, so you're not looking to stay the whole night at the party place. Okay. That's
No.
fine. Yeah. So you
We
get
might also catch up with Rosalago
Oh right, you said you were going to
into
do
the
that.
party.
Yes. Let's do that in the Google group. Unless there's
Yeah.
something pressing you want to talk about. I'll make a note to do Rosalago on the Google group.
Sure.
I think the short story would be that we would just kind of like tell them that there's a much stronger hold on the town, and that we probably need to find some of the rebels who actually got away. We know they're in the forest. We don't know where they are. Like, tap your network. Next time we meet, see if you can help us get some leads if we haven't figured it out ourselves, that kind of thing.
Sure. I have recorded that, and I will follow up on that on the Google group.
Cool.
Okay. So you guys get back, and when you get to the inn, Nikolay and his two bodyguards are sitting there as if they were waiting up for you. And Nikolai has his stiff brandy is what he's drinking here. And he looks up as you enter the room, and he's genuinely curious. He's looking up, and you can tell that he's also drunk, as if he's been drinking here all night, as if he has nowhere else to go and nothing else to do. And he's looking up at Nero and Vors and says, have you thought of what we said last night?
Absolutely.
And he then looks at you and he's explaining that he's desperate. He's like, I've got nothing. I've got nothing left. I'm gonna run out of money. Loredana's gonna kick me out of here pretty soon.
You are definitely on my short list of things to look into.
Your problems are very important to us.
I'm going to need your help, to be honest. If the next phase of our plan is going to go into effect, I will need your help. And part of that will be me getting you this so that you can help us on your way out.
Okay. He nods and he raises his glass and he has a bottle next to him. He says, "Well, I'll be here." And he begins filling up his glass again.
Out of curiosity, when you get what you paid for, are you going to leave town immediately?
He nods and says, I don't think the Amadeans want me here any longer than I have to be, and if I've got the slaves, I gotta get rid of them. They gotta get gone."
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm going to have a use for you when you're leaving town.
Okay, yeah. He nods. And he says, like, anything else I can tell you or anything else you need, let me know. He's like, and thank you again in advance for this, if you're able to do this right.
With the description you provided, we should be able to do something. It's going to be sort of separating.
Okie dokie. Anything else anybody want to say to Nikolai when he's hanging around? All right. And he goes to sleep, and his bodyguards go to sleep. And what do you guys do? You guys gonna go to sleep?
Yes.
Okie dokie. All right. Everybody, give me a perception check while they're sleeping.
Oh.
Let's see.
What's sleep? -20, -10?
I think it's -20, but let me see. So 2 is where we're at. Yeah. Vors and Boozlebob, you both wake up in the middle of the night. And you hear a weird scratching noise. And you're in your separate bedrooms right now.
What direction is it coming from?
From your bedrooms, you hear it coming from down the hall.
Mm-hmm. I would... Nero, what room are you staying in?
I don't know which one I'm in, but yeah, you're gonna come wake me up.
Yeah, I'm basically gonna...
A4.
They're all
Yeah.
A4, all the ones you can live in.
Oh,
are A4.
So yeah, I would grab my bow and walk out into the hallway, knock on Iwan's door, and realizing that we should have come up with a secret knock.
Put that on my to-do list. Secret knocks
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah, and then
Put that on the group.
yep, and then knock on Nero's door as well, and I'm gonna leave Boozlebob alone.
Well, Boozlebob is also woke up. What would you do if you heard scratching, Boozlebob? Scratching against wood. You're muted.
All right. So, Boozlebob's gonna come out.
Yeah, so you open the door, and you see that Vors is in the process of waking up the rest of the party.
All right. Do I know that Nero is in this room next to me?
Yeah, and Vors has knocked on the door, and Nero has opened it or whatever. So yeah, he's there.
All right. And okay, yeah. Okay, so I go looking around. Can I determine where the sound is coming from, or?
It's coming from over here-ish right now.
Okay. Boozlebob, big flail in hand, approaches the noise.
Sure. Okay. You walk over, and everybody else can walk up to it if you want. And when you get to about here, you hear that it's now behind you. It feels like it's under and over here now.
All right, Boozlebob comes over here and smashes this tile.
Okay, go ahead and roll an attack.
Okay.
You managed to roll a 1, which is fantastic, but that means you actually missed the floor, even though it's like an AC of 5. You managed
Even
to
though it's everywhere.
yeah, even though like you go to swing the flail and you get your flail stuck
Tangled
in the
in
ceiling.
the chain.
It gets stuck
Alright.
into the roof of the ceiling, and you go to pull down, and it falls down and hits you in your own shoulder.
All right. It's not above me, right? So,
No.
all right. I guess let's take it. The noise is still over here.
Yeah,
All right, let's try again. I guess.
sure. That's a hit. You managed to hit the floor. Let's see. What's the hardness of the floor? It says so. Hardness 5, HP. Okay, so you did 11 points of damage to the floor. So you started cracking it up, but it's a pretty thick wooden floor. So your flail is doing a decent amount of damage to it, but there's still a bunch of hit points left. So
All
go ahead and
right.
roll again if you want. Yeah, so
Mom, take it easy.
yeah, so they're trying to calm you down, and Laura Donna is also running out from her bedroom and trying to figure out what's going on. But by the time she gets there, you can have one more swing if you like. Yeah, so let me add all those up. 14, 9, and 11 is 34. Yeah, so you've only got like halfway through the wooden floor by the time she shows up. She can see at the beginning some of the boards are going away, and she's like, "What's going on? What are you doing to my floor?" And she's looking at you with like fury in her eyes.
Bob walks over here and says, "You got rats or something," and then punches the floor again.
That's a good point. So let's see. She's gonna make a perception check and see if she can hear the noises. She doesn't know what you're talking about. She thinks you're crazy. But that was a really good hit on the floor. It's almost gone. You hear like a big crack and it starts to bend downwards, but it's not a clear hole yet. And she's like, "What are you talking about, rats? Why you have to destroy the floor?"
I hit the ceiling.
Yeah, you go to swing, and like Nana said, you get your chain, the chain gets tangled up, and you bring it down, and it hits yourself in the stomach almost. And you're like,
All right, there you go.
Go
There you go.
outside. Stop. We can
No,
get it up.
no, we already took care of it.
Yeah, that's enough to make a hole in the floor.
All right.
So let me set like some opacity and make a hole in the floor. And you can see down. There's a room down there, like a cellar.
Is there anything that we can see in the room?
There are lots of boxes in the cellar. I'm just gonna move you down there, but hey.
All right.
And she.
Oh God.
Yeah.
It's like another map over here. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, zoom out a little bit. You can see over here. But yeah, so she's shouting at you. You're not actually in the hole. You're just there so you can see. I guess I can take you out now that you've seen it.
Where's the hole, like by the ladder?
No, the hole is
Like-
here. Oh no, let me show you. The hole is like this.
I see on there. Like,
Yeah, I'm
relative to the
trying to draw it on the other place too. I'm trying to figure it out. It's sort of like here.
Okay.
Yeah. So and she's shouting at you. It's like, if you think there's rats in the cellar, I could have taken you to the ladder.
Boozlebob doesn't care. So Boozlebob conveys that all the stuff is down there to Vors, and then jumps down.
Okay.
Wait, don't.
Yeah. So that's valid. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Where am I going? When you jump down, you can see Vors notices that she looks gravely concerned for a moment as Boozlebob jumps down. And she says, "No, wait, no!" And she stops.
I ask her, like, Lord Dana, what do you have down there?
She doesn't answer yet. Let's see if do I have a description of the room you're in? Let's see. A7. This unused cellar has been sealed off. Blah 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 blah. Detailed on page 16. That was useful. Thanks for making me walk around, book. All right. really doesn't have a lot of description. Yeah, so there's just a lot of boxes and stuff like that, and everything looks really dusty to you, Boozle Bob. And you asked her what she has in the cellar, and she just walks back and she says, whatever you keep in a cellar. And she says, like, storage, stuff like that. And she's obviously concerned.
Boozle Bob,
What exactly do you keep in a cellar?
Sorry?
Boozle Bob hollers
What
up
exactly
and
do you
says,
keep in a cellar?
I didn't hear that again. Now, what?
What exactly do you keep in a cellar?
Oh, and she just starts listing off random cooking supplies, like spices, dried meats, whatever we use in the kitchen.
What could have been making that noise?
She again says, what noise are you talking about?
"Can I like explore this room?"
Yeah, go ahead, walk around a bit and make a perception check. What's everybody else doing while he's doing that?
Show me where the ladder is.
Yeah, she begins walking this way. And she takes you into her. I think it's actually from the kitchen, not the bedroom. We'll just say over here, next to the fireplace, there's a pile of boxes and stuff, and she gestures to it as if you have to move the boxes to get down there.
All right, so remove the boxes.
Okay, yeah. So you move the boxes, and there's just a ladder. So you guys are just gonna go down the ladder? Is that your plan?
I mean, I guess so.
Okay.
So, Ivan, can you send Plotty or your Hellhound down to scout?
Well, I will quickly look to see what the what Loredana's response to, or like how she looks when he says that.
You could send what, your Hellhound? What did you say?
Yeah, the Hellhound or Plotty.
Yeah. So you haven't shown Plotty around this place, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Oh,
she
sure.
looks up and she's very concerned. She's like, Hellhound, Plotty, and she's not scared of infernal stuff because she's lived through Thrune. Like, she knows devils exist and whatever. So Hellhound is kind of a term that she's okay with. But she's, what do you mean?
I think he hasn't gotten enough sleep. It's all good. We can just go down there. We're fine.
Okay. So you guys are all working down like that, and Boozle Bob, you made a perception check. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, you don't find anything, right? You don't. Let's see, you rolled a 19. Yeah, you don't find anything down there. And while they're doing that, they take a couple rounds to come get you. Like, there's 2 rounds where they're moving and moving boxes and stuff like that. And while you're doing that, a thing sneaks up on you, Boozy Bob. So from behind one of the boxes, as you're kind of walking around by yourself, an undead skin monster thing just kind of flaps up from the boxes and tries to attack you. And let's see, that's a hit, and a miss, so you take 11 damage, and I'll describe the thing in a second. And it tries to grab you as well. A 15 is not good enough. So this thing, it looks as if the entire top half of a person, just the skin, has been flayed off of it, and it's now animated and flying it through the air like that. And it's biting at you and clawing at you and trying to wrap itself around you.
All right, Boozle Bob doesn't know anything about this, but he's gonna flay the flayed thing.
Well, you did win initiative, so you will do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, that's a threat.
Yeah, that is a threat, and that is a confirmed crit. Jesus.
Good God.
For 43 damage, and it has DR, so it takes, it only ignores 5 of that, so that is still 38. Yeah? Yeah, so you slam it, and you cut a big chunk of the ribbony flesh away.
Is that stuck to the top of my flail now, or?
Some of it, yeah, this hunks of skin stuck to your flesh, sure.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Good. I win. It's your turn, and you heard Boozle Bob. Are you making any noises while you fight this thing?
No.
Okay. So this thing is flying around, and Boozle Bob, you notice that this thing also has some sort of a necklace. It's wearing some sort of platinum necklace that you know nothing about because you're dumb.
All right, Boozle Bob is making noise then. He's saying shiny.
All right, I win. You hear Boozle Bob saying shiny, and the other thing is fighting silently right now.
All right. Well, she's gonna head over to the ladder and just go down.
Okay. So you get down, and it's I'd say I guess 10 feet down. So I guess you moved 10 feet, and then you went down 10 feet, and you're slow because you're a gnome.
Yep.
Well, you can take an action now, or you can move again.
Well, so I can't see him from where I am, right? So
That is correct.
all right. So I'll just do another move. And when she gets there and sees this horrible looking thing, she just kind of moves over here, and well, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you see this, and you can make a knowledge check, Iwan, to see if you know what this is.
Okay.
But again, it looks like the top half of a humanoid. The skin has just been flayed off, and it's flailing in the wind. You know a little bit, but not a whole lot about this. This is called a skin shred. Let me see. Right. It is a skin shred, which is a horrible, horrible monster. Purity skin shred. Pull it up. Come on. Garbage. Are skin shreds not? Whatever. Anyway, so that's what you see. A horrible, like just skin, like a layer of skin just flapping in the breeze, clawing at Boozlebob, and you know that they're resistant to damage, but not Boozlebob type damage. And their signature thing is they basically enshroud people. They wrap their bodies around corpses and/or living people and take control of them. So you would actually be wary of using your Hound Archon here, because if this thing wrapped itself around the Hound Archon, it could basically control it as if it owned it itself.
Well, do I also think that it could, if it grabbed Boozlebob, control him?
Yes, you would think
Okay.
that. Yes, so that's Iwan's turn. And Vor's.
One other question.
Yes.
Do I know how they usually like occur or become this?
I don't think so, but I'll take a look. I don't think there's anything specific about this. But traditionally with undead, it's some sort of like rage, like like Nigger was saying earlier with the devil, like something happened, and they have to set it right or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a look for skin shred specifically. But Vors, what are you doing, Mr. Vors?
Can I get close enough to attack it?
If you were there, you could move and attack, probably, yeah. So you see this thing just floating in front of Boozlebob. You gonna throw a dagger, or are you gonna use your bow?
Wait, I want to use my bow for that dagger. Which one is that?
It's probably the bow.
Number 2.
Yeah. A 17 is a miss. You have point blank shot, so that's an 18. It's still a miss. What else you got? That all your bonuses?
Well, I do rapid shot, so I get to shoot twice.
You can only do that if you're not moving. Rapid shot.
Oh,
if you stand
right.
Still. Yeah. So you run up and shoot, and you miss. You hit one of the boxes right next to it. And Mr. Nero.
I guess I'll come downstairs and see if I know what the hell that thing is.
Should I do a knowledge check, or do I not have the right kind
You
of
can make a
knowledge?
knowledge check. It's religion, or I think it's only religion actually for undead. You know less than Iwan does, Nero. So whatever I said before, and so does Boris, also less.
Okay.
Okay. But Iwan and Nero and Vors, you also rolled high enough. You notice that the necklace this thing is wearing, it's the holy symbol of Zonkathun, which is a god of undead and stuff like that. So he is a cleric, and to make use of that, he is going to channel as a swift action, healing himself for 8. So you watch as he kind of just flaps his arms in all directions, and this wave of holy energy looks like it's going to burst out, but then he kind of sucks it back up to heal himself. And then he throws everything he's got at Boozlebob again. That is a miss, a hit, and a hit for another 11 damage. And he tries to grab you twice. And a 23 is enough. So the second time, he actually gets one of his claws around you, and it digs into your back, and he wraps the other half of his body around you, and he's now covering your head. And you are considered grappled, but he is not.
Mhm.
So you have a thing on your head. And it's your turn now, Boozle Bob.
All right, Boozlebob's going to. I can still flail the thing, yeah.
Yeah, you can still flail. You have a penalty to hit it, but you do. Yeah. A 21. What is the grapple penalty? 2?
-2.
So it's a 19. That's still enough to hit it. 19 is the magic number. Congratulations. So 16. Yeah, that's all. I can't do anything about that. And he has no regen? No, nothing like that. Okay, yeah, so you're flailing at him. Oh, but as you hit him, you realize that you're underneath him, and as you flail him, half the damage is transferred to you. So you flail him trying to get him off you, and you actually hit yourself in the face with your flail. And I win.
I win. Let's see. She'll throw a ray of enfeeblement at him.
Sure. He's undead. You would know that doesn't work. Yes, you're smart.
Oh, okay. Then I'll hit him with some missiles.
Yes. If it's a fort save, undead are generally immune to it.
Okay.
For future reference. Okay, magic missiles. 2 magic missiles come out for 7, and he has no SR or anything like that. So you just pound him with magic missiles of force, and he takes 7 damage. Pop, pop. And Vors, what would you do?
Do I see if Boozlebob takes damage? When...
Oh, yeah, he would have too. Is it only melee? I don't think it's only melee. I'm gonna say that he takes half of that too, actually. Yeah. So.
Well, that's balls.
Any damage it takes, you take too, because it's literally a thin layer
That's
of skin
magic
around your
damage,
body.
though. That's magic damage.
It's a big throwing bricks of force, and it just hits you in the face.
Charged in, suck it up, baby.
Boys.
Oh god. I'm gonna delay.
Okay, Mr. Nero.
And
So Nero will spend his turn approaching and calling to Loredana to call it off. Loredana, call it off.
She's shouting from the top, and she's actually, you can hear that she's crying in her voice, and she said, "I didn't mean it. I didn't mean for this to happen. You have to believe me."
Call it off. Call it off.
I can't.
So Nero will step over and cast Cure Moderate Wounds on his walk.
You're gonna heal Boozlebob or hurt the thing?
Hurt the thing.
Okay, so make a melee touch attack.
Do you make a melee touch attack with Cure Moderate?
Oh yeah.
Because they get the save on it.
I thought so, but maybe not. Let me see.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll roll
Just
it
roll
out.
it anyway, and we'll see if it matters. That's a valid point because it does get a save. That's good enough. That's good enough. That's good enough. You touched it. Yeah, so go ahead, roll your D8 plus whatever's.
Do I take half of this healing?
Why not? Yeah. I'll half the damage to give you half of the healing. That's fine with me. Yeah. Yeah, so it'll take 6, and Boozlebob will get healed for 5 as the holy energy touches both of them. And then Vors, did you want to come off delay before the skin shred went?
I see that Bob's looking a little better, and I'm just gonna shoot it now.
Okay.
God damn it!
Yeah, so now you're gonna shoot arrows into it.
Thwip.
Yeah, you do get both shots this time. That first one's a miss. What's your second one? Also a miss. Wow. So yeah, so you're just shooting into boxes at this point. And then the skin shred goes, and it does the same trick before, where it channels as a swift action and heals itself for 9.
Do I take half of that healing?
No, because you would take it as damage.
Oh.
Because it's negative energy. And then Boozlebob, much to your horror, you feel this thing begin squeezing your stomach and diaphragm, and then choking your neck and moving your mouth, and you begin saying words and magic phrases you have no idea. You can't comprehend them. But he steps back and drags you with him for free. So he's basically dragging you away from everybody so he can now talk. And you guys all see this horrible thing of skin wrapped around Boozlebob, just making him talk. You see the mouth moving and everything. And he begins casting a spell. And
What's he saying? Just casting a spell?
He's just casting a spell right now. And I'll see what languages he speaks in a bit. but he is casting a spell on who hurt him the most. You were a cleric that touched him with good stuff. He's casting on Nero. Make a will save, Nero.
Okay.
DC 16. Clerics you're good at that, right?
I mean, I hope.
No,
Nope.
Nero, you are paralyzed as if hold person.
Okay.
So he points at you after saying words, and you see Boozlebob, still holding his flail, is pointing at you, and it's shaking, and you begin to be paralyzed in place. And we're back to Boozlebob. It's your turn.
All right, can I rip this thing off my face?
You can try to grapple it off, but it's pretty good at grappling.
All right, then I'm gonna fucking flail myself.
Okay. Do it. Remember, you have a -2, but go ahead. Yeah, you still hit yourself. So 16 damage split between you, so 8 and 8. All right. Iwan, you watch Boozlebob flailing himself, and like the thing is bleeding, and Boozlebob is bleeding underneath it.
Okay, well, best shot's getting it down, so let's send some more missiles there.
I got AIDS blood.
Yeah, it takes 4 and Boozlebob takes 3. So more balls of force fly at you, Boozlebob. You feel like someone's throwing bricks at your face. And you can move if you want. Iwan, Nero, what would you do now?
Try to break free, I guess.
Oh, right. Yeah, how long does that last? That's what I was looking up. Okay, but go ahead and make another will save. Do you get it the first round, or is it every round? Just make it. Yeah.
I think each round on its turn, the subject may attempt a new saving throw. This is a full round action that does not provoke attempts.
Okay, so you waste your turn trying. Go ahead.
What's my turn trying?
So go ahead and make your will save.
Nope.
Nope, you failed. So you're paralyzed. And how long does it last? Is it a random number of turns?
Rounds.
Oh, 1 round per level. He is a level 6 cleric. So last 6 rounds. We'll see what happens to you. Vors, you watch Nero is now standing still in place. Oh no, try again.
God damn it! Thank you.
There you go. Yeah, so it takes 6 damage. So it takes 3, and Boozlebob takes 3 as an arrow pokes through the thin skin of the thing. So you feel in your shoulder, an arrow is now sticking out of you, Boozlebob.
Damn it!
The skin shred is going, and it's going to do its swift thing again to try to stay alive. And 6, man, it's really not doing well with these channels. No one's dead. I can't cast Death Knell. So what other spells can I cast? You really don't have a lot of great spells there, buddy. I could just... I'm just going to shred on Boozlebob. Right? Nah. Yeah, I'm going to shred on Boozlebob.
Oh no.
Oh no. So it's a hit for 15, 22. Boozlebob is still alive, but just barely at negative 15 hit points.
Oh shit.
As this thing is turning him into a corpse. Boozlebob.
Guys,
Roll it. You should. I guess you should roll a d20, but also, I'll let you survive if you fail.
Is he down? Is he down after the second hit?
No.
Damn it.
It literally left him 1 hit point from death, and then he died. But we're gonna ignore that and say he's alive for 1 more round. Iwan, what do you do?
Wait, like dead?
He will be dead.
Oh, that's not good.
So what I mean is, but he wastes all his. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he wastes his whole turn doing it.
Okay.
Can he full attack? Well, he can because he's not grappled actually. So yeah, he's fine.
You can, but yeah.
So basically now we see that Bob is like, we probably know that he's close to death. Yeah.
Yes, he's visibly bleeding. Like underneath the skin, you see like blood coming down and rolling down his chest and stomach as if he just got like thrashed by the thing.
Okay.
Because Boozlebob's been fighting him, and he wants a more pliable corpse to work with.
Yeah. Let me just take a quick look at what else I've got. I don't really know.
All right. Nero, make your will save while this is happening. See if you snap out of it. Yes, you do.
I would like to burn a hero point to go again immediately.
Sure.
I'm going to take a 5-foot step and run a Cure Moderate on Boozlebob.
Okay, sure. So you're actually grabbing the leg, so you're not touching the creature, right? You don't want to split it. You're just giving.
I mean, I want to get Bob.
Understood. So yeah,
alive.
go ahead. Yes, good job. So you're awake, Boozlebob, and you didn't even collapse. The thing kept you standing while you were unconscious.
So Nero basically starts talking to the thing, and he'll start talking in Infernal about how it doesn't have to be this way. I can bring you a new body. Stop. Just stop.
Does he speak Infernal? That's a great question.
He'll be throwing out whatever verbiage he can.
He does. He does understand Infernal. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how well that works. Make a diplomacy check, and then Vors.
I'm gonna delay because I don't want to kill Bob.
Well, so
Yeah.
can we, because I would come off delay, but can
sure.
we see like how the thing's reacting to Nero before I decide what I want to do?
It doesn't seem to care. It doesn't seem to react to the new body proposition. It seems like it has a perfectly good body right here. So
Okay.
What would you do, Iwan and Vors? But Iwan first.
I would just scream like, Nero, this one's on you to keep him up, and then launch some more missiles at the undead thing.
Okay. So 5. So it'll take 3, and Boozlebob will take 2. And you're still awake, Boozlebob, but more bricks are being thrown at your head. And Vors, what are you doing?
God damn it.
God damn it, Boozlebob.
If he's down, he's gonna use Bob's body. You might as well just...
Fuck it. Pop, pop.
Oh, that's a threat. That's a threat. Let's see you kill Boozlebob with that arrow. Yeah, confirm crit. Go ahead, roll damage 3 times, so that roll more. So you just do 32, 47 damage. So 23 of that to the thing. So it's dead, and Boozlebob takes 22 of it, and Boozlebob is killed by that arrow. Congratulations. So yeah, and that was only one shot. You had a second one, but you do shoot, and you do, after the other ones have been going left and right, you take your second and you actually focus, and you get it right through the head, but it's like where its mouth is, but its mouth was pretty close to where Boozlebob's mouth was, and you have eliminated Boozlebob.
Oh god.
Any chance Boozlebob has hero points that can keep him alive or anything?
Do you have 2
No,
hero points, Boozlebob?
I think we played this game once before. No, yeah, I have none.
You have none. Yes. Boozlebob, you were murdered by your friends.
God damn it.
But on the plus side, the skin shred falls lifelessly next to you.
And I can't go twice in a round early. Shit.
Correct.
Sorry, dude. I can't do
Boozlebob
anything.
has been murdered. You bitch. The last round, he actually held off his attack because he didn't want to kill you, and then look what happens.
All right, let's loot it.
Sure.
I'm taking the big flail. Did you mean the skin shred?
Yeah, so the skin shred had a bunch of stuff. And Boozlebob had a bunch of stuff. Yeah. That sucks. That's life, though.
Was Bob raging? Would raging have mattered? I don't know. I don't think it would.
I was not raging.
Even if you were raging, you would have got what, like 8 more hit points.
Yeah.
I think when you go down, you lose every. Like,
Oh,
stops,
right.
Yeah,
They
so
go
yeah,
away
he's,
immediately.
he's dead. You're dead.
God damn it. Looking
Don't I
for
have some like magic orc thing where I can not die?
That's if you're under 0, you can keep going for a round until you pass out. And the Thrune loyal agent thing or whatever feat you have, it doesn't save you from death. Or what does it do? What does it do? You guys should know. The feat you guys got, what does it do? Let me scroll up to see if it saves your life or not. Thrune loyal agent, you have sworn your body to the Queen Abigail and House Thrune in a ritual ceremony and are willing to lay down your life in service to Thrune. Once per week, when reduced to fewer than 0 hit points, you automatically gain fast healing 1 for 1 minute. Once this ability has been used, you instead gain a +4 trait bonus to stay alive. So you would have gained a total of like 10 hit points, but you were dead within 2 rounds. So yeah, I don't think it saved you. You got murdered, man.
God damn it, Boozlebob.
Boozlebob got murdered.
Ah!
All right. Everybody who's alive, toss me a perception check. If you want to look around the boxes and stuff.
Turn me into a magic skin shred.
Or actually, seriously, I went zombie. Like,
He might be a better zombie than the dog.
I think they have about the same hit.
Oh,
I think they're
no.
all 4 hit dice, right?
Oh wait, he doesn't get special hit dice because zombifying. He gets his base hit dice, so it's not
Oh,
actually.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, humans are stupid. Humans and orcs. So you guys are also tossing the place. And Loredana upstairs is again saying, "I'm so sorry," and she actually says at one point, "I'm sorry, Father. I didn't mean for this to happen." So as you're tossing the place, Vors does a good job searching it. You find in the corner of the room over here, near that barrel in the south east, you find the bottom half, only the top half of a skeleton of a humanoid corpse, as if what the skin came from. And the bottom has been completely melted away as if by acid. He has no legs. And do you find anything else? Let's see.
Head bad with hints. It'll be funny.
I was thinking about giving you one.
what's that?
He wanted a headband of intelligence so he could learn to speak.
Oh.
Vors, yeah, you did roll well enough. You found a jet black, merciful metamagic wand amid the remains of that corpse. So there's a big rod sticking out of the corpse.
All right. I'll take it.
Sure. You want to show it to anybody? Do you know what that does?
I'll show it to him later. I have no idea what it does.
Okay, so yeah, you pocket it. It's a lesser magic wand of a merciful spell, which makes, if you hold it while you're casting a spell, you can choose at that time to make the spell deal non-lethal damage. Like if you're casting magic missile, you can do it. Both Vors and Nero, and I guess Iwan too, would know that that's good for pacifying slaves and things like that. Servants that get out of line. If you're a spellcaster that wants to punish people, that's sort of what you do. Well, we have half an hour left, but Boozlebob is dead, so I think we should probably just stop here. And yeah, good session, guys. Anyone want to say anything or do anything else? I guess we should moral and MVP.
Jesus.
So
what
GM,
happens now? Like how do we get a new character in?
Well,
How does it
it's a
work?
good thing we're role playing some Rosalago RP at some point. He could send a helper, or you could find somebody in town, but we can figure it out. Like essentially, next meeting you will meet someone who Michael will be playing, unless he wants to quit entirely.
Yeah, I'm gonna rage quit because fucking Forrest shot Boozlebob in the mouth.
He's just sitting there, like, trying to rip this thing off its face. He's not coming off, so he flails himself in the head twice. And then the little gnome is throwing, like, force bricks at him. And the human archer, the slayer, is like, hitting box, right through Boozlebob's mouth.
Yeah, the one time you hit, you fucking crit.
The thing's like, and making Boozlebob speak these arcane words and just shoot an arrow through its mouth. And it's dead. And yeah. And Iwan's very interested in it too, because it's something you haven't seen before, and it is an undead creation.
And just for the record, Boris would feel somewhat remorseful had it not been for that incident in the jailhouse.
Where were you?
But Boris just kind of shrugs. He's just like, "You had it coming."
Ouch! Salt on the wound, Mr. Mosky. I don't know how you're gonna deal with this.
It's fine.
Don't Dave out though. Don't be a Dave.
On the plus side, Michael, for your RP earlier and other stuff, you were going to be my nomination for the hero point.
Well, that's fantastic.
You can still nominate him if you want, and I'll carry it to the next character because Michael got the hero point, not Boozlebob, if that's true.
Yeah.
So do a /GM and the player or character you think earned it, and then we'll see who gets the hero point. And then I'll figure out what to do with Boozly Bob. I guess Michael and I will get some food and talk about stuff. Who wants the meta magic rod? Blah. You can't cast spells as a slayer, right? They don't get spells, right?
No, I'm not gonna waste my time with that.
Yeah. So it's
not a real-
winner or near
I mean,
thing.
I would definitely want to take that.
Iwan was really suited because I don't really deal damage.
Yeah, good point. All right, yeah. Boozlebob wins. Boozlebob voted for Vors, for the record, if anyone cares. But Boozle Bob wins unanimously with the other players. So your next character, Boozle Bob, will have a hero point when it starts.
Great.
Shit, dude.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna kind of hand wave it because I don't know how to really handle this, but like, Boozle Bob's gonna come in with loot, and also Boozle Bob the corpse has loot, so like, I don't want you to just sell his loot and have the money because you already have too much money.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll figure it out.
Yeah, you don't want to incentivize like turning on each other.
Yeah.
Just, like,
If I kill you, we double our loot. It's gonna kill the whole party but me. All right. So morals. Go through those and pick a moral.
Eros
I mean, my
looks
favorite
good.
moral.
Oh, Boozle Bob's not into scars. They're called the Order of the Pike for a reason. They like putting things on pike. Clear way. Where is the hole? Oh, God, it came off creepy.
I'd like to add one more. Eros taste bad.
Arrows taste bad.
That's true.
It's a pretty good one.
I'd probably go with we have half an hour left, but Boozle Bob is dead.
All right, moral. Oh well. Good game, people.
I miss all the sense motive checks.
Yeah, yeah. So just so we're clear, she totally does drugs and was like the whole time, and you just didn't notice over and over again.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You missed all the subtle hints that she totally does drugs, and then you weirded her out when you asked about it.
God damn it.
There you go. Now you want to know. Yeah. All right.
You fool.